High King Zalaxis of the Vidian Empire stands before the United Nations Assembly, his crystalline-studded spine glinting under the chamber lights as he deliberately speaks in ancient Vidian, a language he knows full well no human can comprehend. His towering blue form dominates the podium, looking down at Earth's gathered representatives with barely concealed disdain. The year is 2045, and humanity's first contact assessment hangs in the balance. The UN chamber in New York sits silent as the alien monarch's words flow in complex, layered tones. His language carries 4 to 7 distinct tonal variations, each subtle shift in pitch carrying crucial meaning that even modern Vidians struggle to master. Scott Lewis, seated among the UN translation team, grips the edge of his desk. The 38-year-old translator recognizes the High King's theatrical display for what it is: a calculated insult. Behind Scott's chair, his 10-year-old son Marcus watches the proceedings with unusual intensity, his small hands moving slightly as if conducting an invisible orchestra of sounds. The king's cultural attaché, Zia, steps forward, his emerald scales catching the light. "Your Majesty, perhaps we should," but Zalaxis silences him with a sharp gesture. The monarch continues his speech, each precisely chosen phrase highlighting Earth's technological and cultural inadequacies. The translation team's screens flash with error messages as their advanced software fails to decode the ancient language. Zalaxis pauses, allowing himself a small smile at the human's confusion. His royal guards, positioned at intervals around the chamber, maintain their rigid stance, though their eyes betray amusement at their leader's display of superiority. Then Marcus steps forward. The boy moves past his father's reaching hand, walking to the center of the chamber. His voice, when it comes, carries the pure, crystalline tones of ancient Vidian. The language flows from him in perfect pitch and cadence, each of the 4 to 7 tonal variations executed with precision that would shame Vidian linguistics professors. The chamber falls silent. Zalaxis's expression freezes as Marcus weaves classical Vidian poetry into his response, quoting ancient texts that even the king himself likely studied for years to master. The boy's small form stands straight, his voice carrying to every corner of the suddenly still chamber. Security cameras capture the moment in perfect clarity, a human child matching the most complex language in known space, the High King's mandibles slack with shock, and the ripple of astonishment that passes through the Vidian delegation. Within hours, this footage will spread across galactic networks, announcing humanity's arrival on the interstellar stage in a way no one expected. But as Marcus finishes speaking, the tension in the room shifts. The Vidian guards exchange glances, their postures becoming more rigid. Zia's scales flatten against his neck, a sign of distress. Scott Lewis sees these reactions and realizes that his son's gift, his hyperlexia that allows him to absorb languages instantly, may have just turned from miracle to liability. In demonstrating humanity's potential, Marcus has transformed from prodigy to potential threat in the eyes of those who built their empire on perceived superiority. The Lewis family's lives, and possibly Earth's future in the Galactic Federation, now balance on the edge of a linguistic knife. Scott Lewis guided Marcus through the crystalline corridors of their new home in the Earth Vidian Cultural Exchange Center, the boy's footsteps echoing off surfaces that seemed to pulse with an inner light. 3 days had passed since the UN incident, and Scott still caught himself glancing over his shoulder, watching for the subtle movements of scales and shadows. Lieutenant David Morrison walked 3 paces behind them, his presence a constant reminder of their changed circumstances. The security officer's eyes continuously scanned their surroundings, one hand never far from the concealed weapon beneath his jacket. "The headache started this morning," Scott explained to Dr. Samuel Richardson in the medical wing. The doctor's office merged human and Vidian design elements, sterile white surfaces, intersected with geometric crystal formations that served as both decoration and medical monitoring equipment. Marcus sat quietly on the examination table, his fingers tracing patterns in the air as he listened to two Vidian medical technicians conversing in the hallway. "They're discussing cellular degradation rates in crystal matrices," he said absently, then winced. Dr. Richardson adjusted his holographic display, studying the neural imaging results. "His synaptic activity is off the charts. These new neural pathways." He zoomed in on a particular region. "I've never seen anything like this." A soft chime announced another visitor. Zia entered, his scales lying flat against his neck. "Mr. Lewis, might I have a moment?" The cultural attaché's eyes darted to Morrison, who remained positioned by the door. "In private." Scott shook his head. "Whatever you need to say, your son's abilities have created a political storm in the Crystal Throne Council." Zia lowered his voice. "Prince Chorus leads a faction that views humanity's rapid adaptation capabilities as a threat to our position within the Federation." Marcus suddenly grabbed his head, crying out. The medical monitors erupted in a cascade of alerts. "Doctor!" Richardson rushed forward as the boy began speaking in a language none of them recognized, yet the Vidian medical technicians in the hallway stopped dead in their tracks, mandibles clicking in astonishment. "That's Arxian," Zia whispered. "A Federation species that hasn't made contact with Earth yet." Morrison's hand moved to his earpiece. "Sir, we have unauthorized vehicle signatures entering the atmosphere. 3 Vidian vessels, non-diplomatic registry." The security officer's tablet displayed a string of alerts, multiple attempted intrusions into the facility's data systems, targeting Marcus's medical files. "Doctor." Richardson quickly initiated emergency encryption protocols as Morrison coordinated with his security team through his comms. "We need to move," Morrison stated, already ushering them toward the door. "Admiral Griffin is implementing Protocol 7. Scott lifted Marcus, who had fallen silent but still trembled from the headache's aftermath. Through the medical wing's crystal walls, they watched as sleek Vidian ships descended through the clouds, their hulls reflecting the setting sun like polished obsidian. Zia's scales rippled with anxiety. "Those ships bear House Chorus markings. The prince moves faster than expected." He pressed a data crystal into Scott's hand. "Emergency frequencies, if you need to reach the moderate faction." Morrison guided them toward a secure elevator. As the doors closed, Marcus looked up at his father, his eyes unnaturally bright. "Dad," he whispered, "I can hear them thinking, the ships, the crews. Their minds sound like crystals singing. The ships, their minds." Marcus's voice trailed off as the elevator descended. "Doctor." Richardson studied his tablet, eyes widening at the neural readings streaming from the monitoring crystals embedded in the examination room's walls. "These energy signatures," he muttered, "they're unlike anything in our database." The doctor's fingers flew across the holographic interface. "Scott, your son isn't just processing language anymore. These patterns suggest something far more complex." The elevator doors opened to reveal Ambassador Thex of the Andromeda Alliance, his silver-scaled form towering in the corridor. Lieutenant Morrison instantly moved forward, weapon half-drawn, but the ambassador raised his hands in a peaceful gesture. "I came as soon as we detected the neural cascade," Thex said, his voice carrying harmonic undertones. "Your son is not alone in this gift." Scott pulled Marcus closer. "What do you mean?" Before Thex could respond, Morrison's comm unit crackled. "Sir, we've intercepted encoded transmissions. Prince Chorus has operatives planetside. They're targeting language acquisition subjects." Marcus pressed his hands against his temples. "Numbers," he whispered. "The ships above their calculating attack vectors." His eyes snapped open, focusing on Thex's ceremonial sash. "Ambassador, your credentials." The boy's fingers traced patterns in the air, matching the geometric designs woven into the diplomatic insignia. "There's a message hidden in the mathematical sequences." The Vidians they're planning to seize Earth's schools. Thex's silver scales rippled. Remarkable. He decoded the warning faster than our best cryptographers. Morrison spoke rapidly into his comm unit as he guided the group through a series of security doors. Admiral Griffin is mobilizing the Space Defense Force. We're moving all high-risk families to the East Wing. The Cultural Exchange Center's East Wing transformed into a fortified sanctuary within hours. 3 other children arrived under heavy escort, each displaying abilities similar to Marcus's. Dr. Richardson established a temporary medical bay, his equipment recording unprecedented levels of neural activity from all 4 children. "Look at this protein structure," Richardson pointed to a holographic display. "It's completely unique to human hyperlexia patients. The Vidians lack this entirely." Marcus sat with the other children, their hands moving in synchronized patterns as they communicated in multiple languages simultaneously. Lieutenant Morrison watched from his security station, remembering his days as a teacher. "They're not just learning," Morrison observed. "They're creating their own method of communication." Zia arrived through a secure channel, his scales dark with urgency. "The Crystal Throne Council must see this evidence. Prince Chorus's actions violate our most sacred laws." Above the facility, cloaked Vidian ships slipped into attack positions. General Vex stood on his command deck, awaiting orders from his prince. The stealth systems hummed, masking their presence from Earth's defense grid. In the medical bay, Marcus grabbed his head as another wave of neural activity surged. Dr. Richardson's monitors recorded not just language processing, but complete absorption of cultural and scientific concepts. "Dad," Marcus looked at Scott, his voice strained. "I can see how their technology works. The stealth systems they're using crystalline resonance patterns too." Ambassador Thex stepped forward. "The Andromeda Alliance has monitored the Vidian Empire's military buildup for years. We cannot allow them to suppress emerging species." Scott watched his son working with the other children, their shared abilities growing stronger by the hour. The decision took a toll: protect Marcus from the increasing neural strain, or allow him to help humanity advance in the galactic community. A security alert flashed across Morrison's screens. Multiple stealth signatures detected. General Vex's fleet is moving into position. Marcus and the other children turned as one, their voices blending in a harmony of languages. The crystal walls of the facility resonated with their combined neural energy, creating patterns that interfered with the Vidian stealth systems. "The children," Dr. Richardson stared at his readings. "They're not just communicating, they're accessing underlying principles of physical reality through linguistic structures." Above them, General Vex's ships flickered into visibility as their stealth systems failed, exposed by the resonance patterns emanating from the Cultural Exchange Center. The resonance patterns emanating from the Cultural Exchange Center continued to disrupt the Vidian stealth systems when Marcus collapsed. His fingers traced erratic patterns in the air as Dr. Richardson rushed to stabilize him. "Neural activity spiking," Richardson announced, studying the readouts. "These patterns, they're interfacing directly with the facility's communication arrays." Marcus's eyes snapped open. "Hidden data," he gasped. "In the learning modules, Prince Chorus has agents in our schools." Captain Michael Zhang strode into the medical bay, his counterintelligence badge glinting under the crystal lights. 17 other cases worldwide, he reported, handing Morrison a secure tablet. 3 children missing in the last 48 hours. The facility's crystal walls pulsed with increased frequency as Marcus processed the educational material streaming across nearby screens. His neural patterns synchronized with the alien systems, revealing layers of encrypted metadata. "They're tracking students," Marcus translated, his voice strained, "identifying potential language acquisition subjects." Dr. Richardson's monitors blared new alerts. "Intracranial pressure rising. We need to." A chime echoed through the facility. High King Zalaxis entered, his crystalline crown refracting light across the walls. Behind him walked Dr. Lyra, her silver-scaled features marking her as one of the Empire's foremost neurological specialists. The protein structure, Dr. Lyra observed, studying Richardson's data. It functions as a biological quantum processor. Her mandibles clicked rapidly as she adjusted the monitoring equipment. Unprecedented integration capabilities. Scott watched as the two doctors worked, their movements synchronized as they analyzed Marcus's condition. Ambassador Thex conversed quietly with Morrison near the security station when alarms blared throughout the facility. Shadow Guard signatures detected, Morrison announced, weapon drawn. 3 infiltration teams. The medical data, Zhang interrupted. Thereafter the brain scan results. Above them, newly deployed Aegis platforms powered up their defense grids. Admiral Griffin's voice crackled over the comms. Orbital perimeter established. Be advised multiple stealth signatures approaching your position. Marcus seized suddenly, his body arching as he attempted to process an ancient Vidian medical text. The facility's communication arrays fluctuated wildly, crystals resonating with his neural patterns. Fascinating, Dr. Viktor Petrov observed from his newly established research station. The boy's condition mirrors patterns from early Vidian biotechnology experiments. The xenotechnology expert's fingers flew across holographic displays. These signatures match recovered data from their expansion period. Weapons fire erupted in the lower levels. Morrison's security feeds showed his teams engaging Shadow Guard operators, their advanced stealth systems rendering them nearly invisible to standard detection methods. Commander Jackson Reed materialized from the shadows beside Ambassador Thex. Their phase-shift technology operates on a crystalline frequency, the human officer explained, his decade of experience with the Andromeda Alliance evident in his bearing. Adjust your sensors to match the resonance patterns the children are generating. Dr. Lyra studied Marcus's latest scans. The neural degradation can be stabilized, she announced. But we require medicinal crystals from the royal reserves. Crystals my brother would never willingly provide, King Zalaxis noted, his scaled fingers tapping against his ceremonial staff. Yet without them, the facility shuddered as another Shadow Guard team attempted to breach the upper levels. Morrison's security feeds showed his teams implementing Reed's countermeasures, the Vidian operators becoming visible as crystalline interference patterns disrupted their stealth systems. Marcus opened his eyes, his gaze focusing on Dr. Lyra's medical crystal. The frequencies, he whispered. They're the same as the hidden data. It's all connected. His hands moved through the air, tracing patterns that matched the facility's pulsing walls. The stealth technology, the educational modules, the medical crystals, they're all built on the same underlying principles. The boy's revelation synchronized with the facility's systems once again, sending cascading waves of information through the alien networks. Dr. Richardson and Dr. Lyra worked rapidly to stabilize his neural patterns as the collected data revealed the full scope of Prince Chorus's infiltration network. The facility's crystal walls pulsed with alarm frequencies as multiple stealth signatures materialized on the orbital defense grid. Lieutenant Morrison's comm unit lit up with urgent tactical data from Earth Defense Command. Multiple Vidian warships decloaking, Morrison announced, checking his tactical display. Shadow Guard units detected in sectors 3 through 7. Marcus convulsed in the medical bay, his neural patterns synchronizing with the facility's crystal arrays. The boy's eyes snapped open, now glowing with the same frequency as the communication systems. Their networks, he gasped, fingers twitching in precise geometric patterns. I can see their battle plans. Prince Chorus, he's been experimenting on children, not just humans. Dr. Richardson's monitoring equipment screamed warnings as Marcus's brainwave patterns spiked dangerously. neural cascade increasing. We need to move him to the hardened shelter immediately. Security teams engaged shadow guard units in the lower levels, their modified sensors detecting the phase-shifted infiltrators. The sound of energy weapons echoed through the crystal corridors as Morrison coordinated the evacuation of the gifted children. Above the facility, the EDS Horizon dropped its stealth shroud, its experimental hybrid shields glowing with adapted Vidian technology. Captain Ward's voice cut through the command channel. "This is Horizon Actual, moving to defensive position Alpha. Be advised, we are detecting multiple hostile signatures on approach vector." "The protein structure," Dr. Lyra said, studying her latest scans of Marcus's brain. "These patterns match ancient engineering experiments from our archives." She turned to Dr. Richardson, mandibles clicking rapidly. "Your species carries markers of Vidian genetic manipulation from thousands of years ago." A shadow guard unit breached the outer security perimeter, their phase-shifted forms rippling like heat waves through crystal walls. Commander Reed activated a crystalline resonance device, disrupting their stealth fields. Morrison's teams opened fire, their modified weapons cutting through the suddenly visible infiltrators. Sentinel Vera materialized beside Scott, her scaled features set in iron will. "These access codes will unlock the royal crystal reserves," she said, pressing a data crystal into his hand. "Begin the stabilization treatment quickly. Prince Chorus has deployed neural disruptors." The facility shuddered as the first wave of neural disruption weapons struck its shields. Marcus screamed, his neural connection to the Vidian networks amplifying the weapon's effects. Dr. Richardson began the delicate process of crystal alignment therapy, while Morrison's teams established defensive positions around the medical bay. "Admiral Griffin reports the Aegis system is online," Commander Reed announced, monitoring the orbital battle. "The Horizon is engaging Vidian capital ships." Through his connection to the enemy networks, Marcus witnessed Prince Chorus's true plans unfolding. "He's using Earth as a test site," the boy whispered, his voice strained. "Biological weapons, targeting language centers." Lieutenant Morrison accessed the facility's communication array. "Sir, we can use the boy's connection to broadcast evidence of the prince's illegal experiments across Federation channels." High King Zalaxis nodded his approval as Dr. Richardson and Dr. Lyra continued their work with the stabilizing crystals. Outside, the orbital defense grid lit up with weapons fire as additional Vidian warships entered the system. Captain Ward's tactical updates flowed through the command network as the Horizon engaged the enemy fleet, its hybrid shield technology matching the Vidian warships blow for blow. The experimental Earth vessel demonstrated humanity's rapid mastery of alien technology, its modified weapons finding gaps in Vidian defenses. Marcus's neural patterns fluctuated dangerously as the crystal therapy continued. Through his connection to the Vidian networks, tactical data streamed into Earth's defense systems, revealing vulnerabilities in the enemy fleet's formation. The boy's consciousness expanded across the digital battlefield, his unique abilities turning Prince Chorus's own communication systems against him. The Shadow Guard pressed their attack, forcing Morrison's teams to fall back to secondary defensive positions. Commander Reed coordinated with incoming Andromeda Alliance reinforcements while Dr. Richardson raced to complete the stabilization treatment before the neural disruptors could cause permanent damage to the gifted children. "Multiple incoming signatures," Morrison reported, checking his tactical display. "Prince Chorus's second wave is entering the system." "System." Morrison's voice trailed off as High King Zalaxis raised his crystalline staff. The facility's sensors registered a massive energy surge as the king activated an ancient protocol interface embedded in his crown. "By the power vested in the crystal throne, I hereby invoke Emergency Protocol 7, Zalaxis announced, his scaled features set with grim purpose. The crown pulsed with brilliant light, transmitting his royal mandate across Vidian space. Full military authority transfers to the Council until this crisis tenacities. Dr. Richardson glanced up from Marcus's bedside monitors as new alerts flooded the tactical displays. Dozens of Vidian warships emerged from hyperspace, their distinctive crystal-hulled forms gleaming as Admiral Thrane's first squadron took up defensive positions around Earth. Prince Chorus's fleet is retreating from low orbit, Commander Reed reported, studying the tactical feeds. But we still have multiple Shadow Guard teams inside the facility. The medical bay hummed with activity as Dr. James Walker rushed in, his tablet displaying neural pattern analyses from affected children worldwide. These readings match cases I've documented in Singapore, Buenos Aires, and Moscow, he said, comparing his data to Marcus's current scans. There's a recurring signature we can use to modify the treatment. Dr. Lyra's mandibles clicked in agreement as she adjusted the crystal therapy array. Implementing modified protocol now, she announced, her scaled fingers dancing across the medical console. The crystals pulsed in harmony with Marcus's brainwave patterns. Weapons fire erupted in the corridor outside as another Shadow Guard team attempted to breach the medical bay. Lieutenant Morrison coordinated with Marines from the horizon, their modified sensors tracking the phase-shifted infiltrators through the crystal walls. Target Cluster, Section 4. Morrison called out. The combined security team opened fire, their weapons configured to Commander Reed's specifications. 3 Shadow Guard operators materialized, their stealth systems disrupted by the crystalline resonance. Scott Lewis worked at a nearby console with Sentinel Vera and Zia, sifting through the data Marcus had uncovered. 3 research bases confirmed, Scott reported, marking coordinates on a stellar map, all hidden in asteroid fields along the Empire's outer rim. Admiral, multiple hostile signatures detected in major population centers. Captain Ward's voice cut through the command channel. The Intrepid is moving to support local authorities. The facility's sensors registered new energy signatures as the Horizon and Intrepid synchronized their targeting systems with Andromeda Alliance protocols. Above them, the modified Earth vessels demonstrated unprecedented coordination with Admiral Thrane's squadron, their hybrid weapon systems bypassing Vidian stealth technology. Marcus convulsed suddenly, his neural patterns spiking as the crystal therapy reached a critical phase. The integration rate, Dr. Elena Santos observed, rushing to examine the readings. It's orders of magnitude higher than any documented case of human-alien technological interface. Dr. Richardson stabilized the crystal array as Marcus's consciousness expanded through the facility's systems. The boy's enhanced processing abilities allowed him to interpret and integrate vast streams of data flowing through Vidian networks. Ambassador, Commander Reed called out, checking his long-range sensors. We're detecting unusual energy signatures approaching from Andromeda. Ambassador Thek studied the readings, his crystalline implants glowing softly. Nexus core vessels, he confirmed. They must have detected the quantum neural anomalies. The facility shuddered as another wave of Shadow Guard troops attacked the defensive perimeter. Marine Staff Sergeant Chen directed her fire team with practiced precision, their modified weapons cutting through the infiltrators' phase-shift defenses. Marcus's eyes snapped open, glowing with the same frequency as the medical crystals. The research data, he gasped, neural patterns synchronizing with the facility's systems. It's not just genetic manipulation. They're trying to create a new form of consciousness. Dr. Santos's monitoring equipment registered unprecedented levels of neural integration as Marcus processed the incoming data streams. The boy's enhanced abilities provided Earth's defense forces with real-time tactical updates, allowing them to counter Prince Chorus's agents across the globe. Operation Guardian is active in all sectors, Admiral Griffin announced through the command channel. Local authorities are moving to secure identified families. The Crystal Throne counsels evidence of genetic experimentation broadcast across Federation channels as Marcus's treatment continued. Fleet Commander Jareth's rapid response vessels appeared at the system's edge, their arrival forcing Prince Chorus's remaining ships to fall back to defensive positions. Dr. Richardson and Dr. Lyra worked in perfect synchronization, adjusting the crystal therapy arrays as Marcus's neural patterns stabilized at a higher functional state. The facility's sensors registered the approach of the Nexus core vessels, their exotic energy signatures indicating technology far beyond current Earth or Vidian capabilities. The Nexus core vessels established a synchronous orbit above the facility as Dr. Alexandra Griffin's shuttle descended through Earth's atmosphere. Admiral Griffin watched the landing approach on his tactical display, his expression neutral despite seeing his daughter for the first time in 7 years. Medical Team Alpha, secure for immediate deployment, Dr. Alexandra Griffin instructed through her comm channel. Her specialized equipment hummed as the shuttle touched down in the facility's secure landing zone. Marcus's neural patterns fluctuated on Dr. Richardson's monitors as Alexandra's team rushed into the medical bay. "These readings," she said, examining the crystal interface. "The structures forming in his neural pathways, I've seen this pattern before." The facility shuddered as Prince Chorus's forces engaged Earth's orbital defense grid. On the command deck, Captain Ward's tactical updates highlighted the Horizon's position as it intercepted the main Vidian assault force. "Multiple dropships detected," Morrison announced. "Intrepid moving to intercept." Alexandra calibrated her scanning equipment as crystalline formations spread through Marcus's neural network. "The protein structures aren't just compatible with Vidian technology," she explained, displaying complex molecular diagrams. "They're activating according to a predetermined pattern." These modifications were engineered to remain dormant until humanity achieved specific technological benchmarks. Sonic weapons fire erupted in the upper corridors. Morrison's security team engaged Shadow Guard units as Dr. Richardson and Dr. Lyra initiated emergency transport protocols. "We need to move him to Sublevel 3, Dr. Richardson ordered, monitoring Marcus's neural stability. "The shielded chamber will protect against their sonic disruption." Marcus convulsed as they transferred him, his consciousness interfacing with the facility's systems. "The children," he gasped, neural patterns spiking. "He's using their protein structures to force evolution. A weapon." Alexandra's instruments registered unprecedented levels of crystalline growth as they secured Marcus in the shielded chamber. The formations in his brain created complex quantum computational matrices, bridging human and Vidian neural architecture. Above the facility, the Horizon's hybrid shields flared as it engaged Vidian warships. Captain Ward coordinated with Earth's prototype defense satellites, their reverse-engineered technology matching the attackers' capabilities. Admiral Griffin, the Galactic Federation representatives are demanding an emergency session, Commander Reed reported. "They're concerned about Earth's technological advancement rate." Scott Lewis worked at a nearby console with Ambassador Thex, analyzing data streams from Marcus's neural interface. 3 decades of genetic monitoring," Scott said, marking surveillance patterns across a global map. "Research facilities hidden in every major population center." Dr. Santos rushed into the shielded chamber, her tablet displaying new analysis results. "The crystalline structures aren't just storing information," she explained. "They're creating a biological quantum processor that integrates human and Vidian neural patterns." Marcus's eyes snapped open, glowing with increased intensity. His consciousness expanded through the facility's communication arrays, intercepting encrypted Vidian transmissions. Stealth vessel approaching, he warned, neural patterns fluctuating. The weapon. It's already here. High King Zalaxis received the Crystal Throne Council's decree, officially stripping Prince Chorus of his titles. Throughout the system, Vidian fleet commanders faced a critical decision as their loyalty to the prince collided with the council's authority. Multiple Vidian vessels breaking formation, Morrison reported, tracking fleet movements. They're refusing the council's orders. Alexandra's instruments recorded the quantum computational processes in Marcus's enhanced neural network as he processed vast streams of tactical data. Through his expanded consciousness, Earth's defense forces gained real-time intelligence on Shadow Guard movements across the globe. The facility's sensors detected a faint energy signature approaching Earth's orbit as Prince Chorus's stealth vessel maneuvered into position. Inside the shielded chamber, Marcus's crystalline neural matrix processed intercepted transmissions, revealing the prince's immediate intentions for the Cultural Exchange Center. "Dr. Griffin," Marcus whispered, his enhanced consciousness stretching through the facility's systems. "The weapon's protein signature. It matches the crystal formations in my brain." Alexandra studied the readings, her research into ancient Vidian evolution providing crucial context for humanity's unexpected role in galactic development. As Shadow Guard sonic weapons impacted the upper levels, she worked with Dr. Richardson and Dr. Lyra to stabilize Marcus's expanding neural interface. Alexandra's analysis was interrupted by new alerts flooding the tactical displays. The orbital defense grid sensors highlighted a vessel approaching through a gap in the coverage pattern, its energy signature barely registering above background radiation levels. "Stealth vessel detected in Sector 7, Captain Ward transmitted from the horizon. Conventional targeting systems are ineffective against their new cloaking technology." A new voice cut through the command channel. "This is Dr. Marcus Griffin. Do not engage that vessel directly. Any damage to its containment systems will release the weapon into the atmosphere." Admiral Griffin's expression shifted subtly at the sound of his younger son's voice. "Understood, Doctor. Horizon, maintain distance but keep that ship from reaching deployment range." The facility shuddered as Lieutenant Morrison's team engaged another wave of Shadow Guard troops. Marcus's neural pattern spiked suddenly, his consciousness expanding through the building's systems. The crystalline formations in his brain resonated with the facility's architecture, revealing previously hidden defensive capabilities. "Lieutenant," Marcus called out, his voice strained. The walls they're made of conscious crystal matrices, activating Defense Protocol Alpha 7. Crystalline barriers erupted from the walls, forming an impenetrable lattice that trapped and disabled the phase-shifted Shadow Guard operators. Morrison's security team moved efficiently through the newly secured corridors, neutralizing the immobilized infiltrators. "Doctor." Santos rushed to Marcus's bedside as new readings appeared on her monitors. "The crystalline formations are creating a network effect. His neural patterns are synchronizing with the other affected children." "I've seen this before," Alexandra said, pulling up ancient Vidian records on her tablet. "These network formations, they're identical to patterns documented in our species' prehistoric genetic engineering projects." Above the facility, Admiral Griffin coordinated Operation Starburst, directing Earth's modified vessels to integrate with Andromeda Alliance tactical networks. The seamless coordination between human and alien ships drew surprised comments from their allies as they established a multi-layered defensive grid around the planet. Scott Lewis's voice carried across the command channel as he worked with Sentinel Vera. "Admiral, we've found something. The weapon's base design it's derived from High King Zalaxis's medical research. Prince Chorus corrupted his father's work on genetic repair." The Crystal Throne Council's response was immediate. A new fleet emerged from hyperspace, their ships bearing the distinctive crystalline configurations of the legendary Crystal Guard. Multiple explosions rocked the facility as hidden Vidian agents revealed themselves, their face-shifted forms targeting critical power distribution nodes. Lieutenant Morrison's voice crackled through the facility's comm system. Multiple hostiles in the maintenance tunnels, moving to protect primary power grid. Dr. Marcus Griffin worked at a terminal with the Nexus Core Science team, analyzing the weapon's molecular structure. The protein sequences responsible for enhanced language acquisition, they create a vulnerability. Specific crystalline resonance frequencies could destabilize the entire compound. Marcus convulsed on the medical bed, his neural network expanding rapidly. "I can generate those frequencies," he gasped, the crystals in his brain pulsing with increasing intensity. Through the facility's systems, the tactical displays lit up with new contacts as the Crystal Dawn and its escort fleet arrived in orbit. Prince Chorus's stealth vessel accelerated toward its deployment position, forcing Earth's defenders into action. "All units coordinate fire with Crystal Dawn targeting solutions," Admiral Griffin ordered. "Dr. Griffin, begin resonance countermeasures. Lieutenant Morrison, keep those power nodes online at all costs." The facility's crystals hummed with increasing energy as Marcus's consciousness interfaced with its systems, preparing to broadcast the defensive frequencies that could save Earth from Prince Chorus's twisted version of his father's research. Marcus's neural interface synchronized with the facility's crystalline architecture as Admiral Griffin initiated contact with the Crystal Dawn. Crystal Guard Commander Thorax's holographic form materialized on the command deck, his translucent features reflecting centuries of tactical experience. "Admiral, my vessels are moving into position," Thorax said, manipulating a three-dimensional display of Earth's orbital space. "The resonance-based defense grid will integrate with your conventional shields." Morrison's security teams engaged Shadow Guard units in the maintenance tunnels as Major Brian Foster's Crystal Integration Unit arrived through secured corridors. Their crystal-enhanced combat suits emitted a faint blue glow, matching the phase variants of the Shadow Guard stealth systems. "Lieutenant, Western Junction," Foster called out, his troops moving with practiced precision. "CIU teams, establish resonance containment." Dr. Richardson's monitors displayed cascading neural patterns as other children in the facility began developing crystalline structures. Dr. Naira, the Crystal Guard's medical specialist, analyzed the readings with growing interest. "The progression matches ancient evolutionary templates," she explained, comparing data streams with Alexandra. "These formations, they're not random mutations. The facility itself is accelerating their development." The building shuddered as the Crystal Dawn's massive resonance field activated. Captain Ward's voice cut through the command channel, Horizon detecting fluctuations in enemy stealth systems, transmitting targeting solutions to all Allied vessels. Marcus gasped as his expanded consciousness processed the incoming data. "The crystals," he said, neural patterns spiking. "They're part of something bigger, a pattern hidden in plain sight." Chief Engineer Mitchell worked at a nearby terminal, Crystal Guard technicians assisting as she traced hostile code through the facility's systems. "Secondary trigger mechanism detected," she announced. Prince Chorus embedded it directly into the matrix. Scott Lewis and Sentinel Vera coordinated with orbiting Vidian loyalist vessels as Earth's crystal-enhanced defense platforms came online. The experimental weapons platforms shifted into attack formation, their hybrid technology representing humanity's first steps into crystal-based warfare. "Multiple enemy vessels adjusting course," Morrison reported. "They're falling back from the defense grid's effective range." Alexandra's instruments recorded unprecedented levels of neural activity as Marcus processed the facility's quantum data streams. "The entire crystal network," he whispered. "It was designed for us, for humans." The tactical displays flashed red as Prince Chorus's stealth vessel showed signs of containment failure. Dr. Marcus Griffin's analysis confirmed their worst fears. The weapon's internal structures were beginning to break down. The resonance field is destabilizing the containment systems, Dr. Griffin warned. We need to neutralize that weapon before. A brilliant energy pulse from the crystal dawn illuminated Earth's atmosphere as Commander Tharix initiated emergency containment protocols. The combined forces of Earth and the Crystal Guard moved to trap the prince's vessel in a web of overlapping fields, racing against time as the biological weapon threatened to rupture. Marcus's neural patterns synchronized with the facility's defense matrix as his consciousness expanded through its systems. Through his enhanced perception, the true nature of Vidian crystal technology began to reveal itself, a technological legacy left by ancient architects who had foreseen humanity's role in the galaxy's future. Dr. Santos monitored the other children's neural development as the Crystal Dawn's resonance field enveloped the facility. Their patterns aligned with Marcus's at an increasing rate, forming a complex network that interfaced directly with the building's quantum architecture. The children are stabilizing, Dr. Richardson reported, watching as the crystal formations in their neural pathways achieved equilibrium. The resonance field is acting as a buffer against forced acceleration. Foster's CIU teams secured the power distribution nodes as Shadow Guard units fell back, their phase-shift advantages neutralized by the crystal-enhanced combat suits. Above the facility, Earth's orbital defenses maintained their containment of Prince Chorus's failing vessel as Commander Tharix coordinated with Admiral Griffin to prevent the weapon's release. The facility's crystals pulsed with increasing energy as Marcus processed the hidden patterns in its design. Through his expanded awareness, the true purpose of the Cultural Exchange Center became clear, not just a diplomatic outpost, but a carefully crafted catalyst for humanity's next evolutionary step. Marcus's consciousness expanded through the quantum architecture just as alarms blared across every command channel. Captain Ward's voice cut through the chaos. Critical containment failure detected on enemy vessel. Weapon housing integrity at 13% and falling. The Horizon's conventional shields flickered ineffectively against the weapon's energy signature as Ward attempted emergency containment. Marcus felt the facility's crystals respond to his heightened neural state, resonating at frequencies that matched his own transformed consciousness. Crystalline structures erupted from the building's surface, stretching upward through the atmosphere in an intricate lattice pattern. Energy signature stable, Dr. Santos called out, monitoring the other children's neural patterns. Group synchronization achieving 97% coherence. The Crystal Dawn's massive form descended through the clouds, positioning itself directly above the rising lattice. Commander Tharix's voice echoed through the command network, initiating Crystal Matrix interface. Human-generated containment field accepting synchronization. Alexandra's instruments recorded unprecedented energy readings as the facility's emission pattern merged with the Crystal Dawn systems. The integration is perfect, she said, studying the data streams. These systems were designed to work together. A series of explosions rocked the facility's outer walls. Lieutenant Morrison's tactical feed showed multiple Shadow Guard teams launching coordinated strikes against the perimeter. CIU teams converge on Sectors 3 and 7, Major Foster transmitted. Match phase variants and engage. The prototype crystal suits glowed with increasing intensity as Foster's units intercepted the Shadow Guard assault. The human defenders moved with newfound precision, their enhanced capabilities allowing them to track and neutralize the phase-shifted attackers. Marcus, Dr. Richardson called out, your neural patterns are affecting the power grid. We need to stabilize the energy distribution. Chief Engineer Mitchell's hands flew across her console as she worked with Crystal Guard technicians. Rerouting power through secondary crystal nodes. Morrison, we need those junction points protected. Teams 2 and 4 split up, Morrison ordered. Defend those power nodes at all costs. The medical bay's monitors showed Marcus's neural network expanding exponentially. The other children's patterns aligned with his, creating a cascading effect that strengthened the atmospheric containment field. Dr. Naira studied the readings with growing understanding. The weapon's deterioration is accelerating in proximity to their evolved signatures, she explained. These children possess natural defenses against Prince Chorus's bioweapon. New contacts appeared on the tactical displays. Multiple Vidian vessels detected, Admiral Griffin announced. IFF confirms Admiral Kenna's fleet approaching from the outer system. Prince Chorus's remaining ships broke formation, retreating from Earth's orbit as Kenna's forces arrived. Scott Lewis's voice carried across the command channel. Admiral, we've found something. Prince Chorus had files tracking Marcus since childhood. He knew about the crystal potential. The weapon's containment chamber emitted a high-pitched whine that penetrated even the Crystal Dawn's sophisticated sensors. New resonance pattern detected, Commander Tharix reported. The compound is synchronizing with the children's frequencies. Doctor. Richardson rushed between medical stations as his patient's neural readings spiked. We need to stabilize these patterns before the feedback loop overwhelms their systems. Earth's prototype defense platforms activated automatically, generating matching frequency patterns that reinforced the containment field. Power fluctuations cascaded through the planetary grid as the platforms drew unprecedented energy levels. Grid stability at 60%, Chief Mitchell reported, redirecting power from non-essential systems. The Crystal Dawn's massive resonance field pulsed with increasing intensity, merging with the human-generated containment barrier. Through his expanded consciousness, Marcus perceived the intricate dance of energy's human and Vidian technology working in perfect harmony, exactly as the ancient architects had designed. Inside the facility's hardened command center, Admiral Griffin watched power levels dropping across civilian sectors. Earth's first major test of crystal integration would require difficult choices, and time was running out. The weapon's containment chamber continued to deteriorate, its unstable energies threatening to overwhelm even the combined human and Vidian defenses. Morrison's security teams engaged in close-quarters combat throughout the facility's corridors as Shadow Guard units pressed their assault. Major Foster's crystal-enhanced soldiers demonstrated remarkable adaptation, matching the enemy's phase-shift capabilities with increasingly precise counterattacks. The prototype suit's crystalline matrices hummed with power as humanity's defenders pushed back against Prince Chorus's elite forces. The EDS Horizon sensors detected radiation spikes emanating from Prince Chorus's weapon, the containment field fluctuating as quantum instability spread through its matrix. Captain Ward's voice carried urgency as he transmitted the readings to Earth Defense Command. Admiral Griffin, containment field integrity dropping below acceptable parameters, radiation levels increasing exponentially. Griffin's hands tightened on the command console. Initiate Operation Crystal Shield. Divert power from civilian grids, all of them. Across Earth's major population centers, lights dimmed as emergency systems engaged. The crystalline containment field strengthened, drawing unprecedented levels of energy through the planetary grid. In the medical bay, Marcus's neural patterns displayed on Dr. Richardson's monitors shifted into new configurations. The crystal formations in his brain tissue aligned into familiar pattern structures that made Alexandra pause as she analyzed the data stream. These formations, she said, comparing the scans to archived images, they match crystalline artifacts from prehistoric dig sites. the same architectural patterns we found in ancient Vidian ruins on Earth. Dr. Marcus Griffin rushed to their station, his eyes widening at the correlation. The frequency patterns from Marcus's neural network there naturally degrading the weapon's molecular structure. Mitchell, we need to route these frequencies through the containment field. Chief Engineer Mitchell nodded, her fingers flying across the crystal-enhanced terminal. Redirecting power distribution. We'll use the existing field as an amplifier. The facility shuddered as Shadow Guard teams activated portable phase-shift generators, their forms flickering as they bypassed standard security measures. Lieutenant Morrison's tactical feed showed multiple breaches along the outer corridors. CIU teams, Defensive Formation Alpha, Major Foster commanded, his crystal-enhanced soldiers moving to protect the medical bay. Their suits pulsed in harmony with the building's matrix, creating overlapping detection fields that tracked the phase-shifted intruders. A high-pitched whine filled the command frequency as Prince Chorus triggered his final contingency. The weapon's containment systems began a cascading failure, its dispersal range expanding beyond initial projections. "Horizon, maintain position," Griffin ordered as Ward's ship shuddered under the increasing strain. "Crystal Dawn, hold containment formation. We cannot risk a gap in the field." Marcus gasped, his consciousness expanding through the facility's crystal networks. "There's something else here," he whispered, neural patterns spiking as they interfaced with hidden systems. "The building, it's meant to be an amplifier. All of it." Alexandra accessed the facility's architectural database, comparing the emerging patterns to ancient texts. These designs there identical to theoretical models from Vidian archives. The entire cultural exchange center was built using genetically stored memories. At a nearby terminal, Scott Lewis and Sentinel Vera analyzed the weapon's base structure. "The compound targets linguistic evolution markers," Lewis reported. "The crystal formations in these children, they're a natural defense mechanism. Our bodies remember the ancient changes." Admiral Kenna's fleet moved into supporting positions around the Crystal Dawn, their ships forming a geometric pattern that could extend the resonance field if needed. Power surged through the facility's newly discovered subsystems as Chief Mitchell implemented emergency protocols. "Crystal matrix accepting neural frequencies," Mitchell called out, monitoring the power distribution. "But we're approaching critical load limits." Dr. Richardson studied the medical readouts as crystal formations pulsed within each child's neural tissue. "The frequency match is perfect, but projecting it through the containment field would require complete neural synchronization. We've never attempted integration at this scale." Multiple launches detected from Earth's moon cut through the tactical channels as hidden Shadow Guard bases revealed themselves. Griffin coordinated with Commander Tharix, directing interceptors while maintaining the critical containment formation. Marcus's consciousness expanded further into the facility's systems as power surged through the crystal matrix. The other children's neural patterns began shifting, aligning with his as the building's hidden protocols activated. Their combined frequencies resonated through the containment field, meeting the weapon's unstable energy signature as Prince Chorus's last attempt approached its critical threshold. A resonant hum filled the facility as Marcus's consciousness touched the building's hidden protocols. "Doctor." Richardson moved swiftly between monitoring stations, directing his medical team to prepare specialized pods arranged in a precise circular pattern around Marcus's chamber. "Colonel Hayes has arrived," Chief Mitchell announced, stepping aside as Earth's leading crystalline power systems expert strode into the control center. His eyes immediately locked onto the power distribution readouts. "These energy patterns," Hayes said, fingers dancing across the crystal interface. "They're creating natural amplification circuits. Mitchell, we need to reconfigure the power flow to match these new geometries." Dr. Naira traced the emerging patterns on her display. These pod positions they mirror ancient Vidian temple configurations. The facility's designers knew this would happen. Admiral Griffin's tactical display lit up with new threat indicators. Multiple penetrations detected at power distribution centers worldwide, he transmitted. Major Thompson, deploy your teams. Protect those facilities at all costs. Special Forces units streamed from transport ships, racing to secure crucial power stations as Shadow Guard sleeper agents emerged from dormancy. Thompson's encrypted channel crackled with combat updates as his teams engaged the enemy. Inside the medical bay, crystalline formations spiraled through the walls in geometric patterns. Chief Mitchell's sensors tracked the transformation. Power efficiency increasing by 30%. These new circuits are integrating with the children's neural frequencies. Dr. Marcus Griffin analyzed streams of data from the medical pods. Each child's crystal structure is unique, he reported. Together, they form a complete communication matrix. It's a human-compatible version of Vidian base architecture. The facility shuddered as Shadow Guard teams phased through lower maintenance tunnels. Lieutenant Morrison tracked their signatures on tactical displays. They're using advanced shift technology, multiple targets moving through solid matter. CIU teams, adjust formation delta, Major Foster commanded. His crystal-enhanced soldiers repositioned, using the facility's transforming architecture to predict materialization points. The prototype suits pulsed in harmony with the building's resonance as Shadow Guard soldiers emerged into carefully prepared killing zones. Scott Lewis worked at his station beside Sentinel Vera, their hands moving in synchronized patterns across ancient control interfaces. Crystalline mesh erupted from the facility's outer walls, creating layers of translucent armor that rippled with defensive energy. Admiral, Captain Ward transmitted from the horizon, weapon containment field showing new interference patterns. The compound is reacting to crystalline emissions from the facility. Confirmed, Commander Tharix added from the Crystal Dawn. Recommend immediate power adjustment to compensate. Griffin accessed Earth's secondary power grid, initiating emergency power redirect. Mitchell, prepare for surge on my mark. Global communications flickered as power shifted to the containment field. The Crystal Dawn's massive form adjusted position, maintaining precise alignment with the horizon as their combined field struggled to contain the weapon's cascading instabilities. In the medical bay, Marcus's neural patterns flickered across Dr. Richardson's displays. Crystal formations in his brain tissue pulsed with increasing intensity, sending waves of resonant energy through the other children's pods. Their neural networks began shifting, automatically reconfiguring to match his template. Power requirements increasing, Hayes called out, his hands flying across multiple control surfaces. The neural synchronization is drawing more energy than projected. Mitchell accessed newly formed power circuits throughout the facility, routing power through crystal amplification nodes. Hayes, we need to balance the load before these circuits overload. The medical pods hummed with increasing intensity as Dr. Richardson monitored neural synchronization levels. Crystal formations within each child's brain aligned with Marcus's patterns, creating an interwoven network of consciousness that expanded through the facility's transformed architecture. Neural template integration at 70%, Dr. Richardson reported. Synchronization continuing to strengthen, but power requirements are rising exponentially. Earth's power grid strained under the massive energy draw as Hayes and Mitchell worked to stabilize the facility's crystal circuits. Shadow Guard teams pressed their attack with increasing desperation, their face-shifted forms flickering through layers of defense as Foster's CIU teams adapted to each new infiltration attempt. The weapon's containment field fluctuated as new energy patterns cascaded through its deteriorating matrix. Admiral Kenna's fleet maintained their geometric formation around the crystal dawn, ready to extend the resonance field if the primary containment failed. Marcus's expanded consciousness touched each of the other children through their synchronized neural network, their combined awareness spreading through the facility's crystalline architecture. Power surged through transformed circuits as humanity's first complete crystal integration network took form, racing against the weapon's accelerating deterioration. Power surged through the transformed circuits as Colonel Hayes burst into the control center, his crystalline interface pad displaying critical readings from Earth's power distribution network. "The grid can't sustain these levels," Hayes announced, connecting his systems to Mitchell's console. "We need to convert the lower levels into crystal capacitors immediately." Mitchell's fingers danced across her terminal, initiating emergency protocols. Crystalline formations erupted from the basement walls, spreading through support structures and maintenance tunnels. The building's framework absorbed the excess energy, geometric patterns forming natural power storage systems. In the medical bay, Dr. Richardson arranged the children's pods in a precise circular pattern around Marcus. "Neural synchronization beginning," she reported, monitoring vital signs on multiple displays. "Marcus's pod is acting as our primary focal point." Warning indicators flashed as 3 children's neural patterns spiked dangerously. Dr. James Walker moved swiftly between their pods, calibrating crystal resonance treatments developed from Vidian medical archives. The children's readings stabilized under his practiced touch. "Neural feedback contained," Walker transmitted, "but we'll need constant monitoring to prevent cascade effects." Tactical alerts cut through the command frequency as Prince Chorus launched his coordinated strike. Major Thompson's encrypted channel filled with combat reports as his teams engaged Shadow Guard forces at power stations across 3 continents. "Multiple breaches at Frankfurt Distribution Hub," Thompson reported. "These agents have Vidian combat augments, requesting additional support." Griffin's tactical display showed spreading power fluctuations threatening the weapon's containment field. A priority transmission from deep space preceded the arrival of the EDS Pioneer, Captain Larson's research vessel dropping out of faster-than-light travel near lunar orbit. "Admiral," Larson transmitted, "we've discovered Vidian military installations throughout the Kuiper Belt, bringing experimental power cells that might help stabilize the grid." The weapon's deteriorating containment generated quantum interference patterns, disrupting the children's neural synchronization. Dr. Marcus Griffin analyzed the facility's subsystems, identifying previously hidden frequency barriers capable of protecting the procedure. "We can shield the neural network," he reported, "but it requires diverting power from life support." Before Griffin could respond, sonic weapons fire shattered crystal formations along the facility's outer walls. Lieutenant Morrison's security feeds showed Shadow Guard teams deploying specialized disruptors designed to destroy crystalline structures. Major Foster directed his CIU teams to generate protective fields, their crystal-enhanced suits pulsing with stabilizing energy. "Maintaining coverage," he transmitted, "but power draw is increasing." The Crystal Dawn sensors detected Prince Chorus's flagship maneuvering for a clear shot at the facility. Captain Ward's voice cut through the tactical channel as the Horizon moved to intercept, its hybrid weapons systems engaging the Vidian vessel in a display of combined combat doctrine that forced Chorus to retreat. At their monitoring station, Scott Lewis and Sentinel Vera accessed deep-ground sensors, discovering dormant crystal formations beneath the facility. The ancient Vidian structures activated as the children's neural patterns resonated through the building's foundation, providing crucial additional power to the containment field. "The site was chosen deliberately," Vera noted, tracking energy readings. "These formations are responding to the synchronized network." Marcus's neural patterns shifted, transmitting complex crystalline growth sequences to the other children. Dr. Alexandra Griffin studied the emerging structures, comparing them to theoretical models in the Vidian database. These patterns match advanced communication systems, she said, but the children are naturally improving upon the original designs. Admiral Kenna's fleet moved into defensive formation above the facility as energy signatures attracted attention from distant monitoring stations. Chief Mitchell's displays showed dangerous power buildups throughout the building's crystal matrix. Containment reaching critical levels, Mitchell reported. Standard protocols won't handle this much energy. Hayes accessed emergency systems that hadn't been field-tested, implementing alternative containment procedures. Mitchell, prepare for manual power distribution through the new crystal capacitors. The facility's transformed architecture creaked under the strain as Hayes diverted excess energy through newly formed crystal circuits. Marcus's medical pod pulsed with increasing intensity, channeling power through the geometric pattern of synchronized children, while Walker and Richardson monitored their vital signs for signs of neural instability. Thompson's forces secured key power stations across Europe and Asia, but North American distribution hubs remained under heavy attack. The weapons containment field fluctuated as Shadow Guard forces pressed their advantage, forcing Griffin to constantly adjust power allocation between critical systems. Power distribution sensors at 98% capacity, Hayes called out, his hands flying across crystalline control surfaces. We need an alternative power sink immediately. The Pioneer's sleek form descended through Earth's atmosphere, its experimental Vidian power cells gleaming in the cargo bay. Captain Larson transmitted detailed schematics showing the cell's crystal resonance patterns. These units can handle the overflow, Larson explained, but integration must be precise. One misaligned connection could cascade through the entire matrix. Chief Mitchell studied the technical specifications. I can modify the basement capacitors to accept these power cells. Hayes, prepare to redirect energy flow on my mark. The facility's crystal formations pulsed with increasing intensity as Mitchell's engineering teams worked to install the Pioneer's power cells. Each unit required exact positioning to match the building's resonant frequencies. In the medical bay, Marcus's neural patterns suddenly stabilized. Dr. Richardson watched in amazement as the change rippled through the other children's pods. Crystal formation rates normalizing across all subjects, she reported. The network is self-regulating. Dr. Viktor Petrov rushed into the monitoring station, his research tablet displaying complex xenotechnology analyses. These neural structures, he gestured at the readings, they're not just copying Vidian patterns, they're improving them. Warning klaxons blared through the command center. Captain Ward's voice cut through the noise. Admiral, the weapon's radiation signature is shifting. It's responding to the children's crystal frequencies. Admiral Griffin accessed the orbital defense grid. All Aegis platforms, realign shield generators to match new containment parameters, use modified Vidian protocols. The massive defense platforms moved into position, their shield arrays creating an overlapping containment field around the deteriorating weapon. Lieutenant Morrison's tactical display lit up with new contact signatures. Multiple tunneling vehicles detected, Morrison transmitted. Shadow Guard forces approaching from bearing 045. Major Foster's CIU teams moved to intercept, their crystal-enhanced suits generating precise interference patterns. The Shadow Guard vehicles emerged from phase shift, their stealth systems temporarily neutralized by the crystalline disruption field. Sentinel, Scott Lewis called to Vera, these tactical readings match the data from your archives. Vera nodded, her fingers dancing across ancient interface controls. Confirmed location of Prince Chorus's research facility, transmitting coordinates now. Commander Voss's strike force departed immediately, their ships accelerating toward the Kuiper Belt. Below the facility, the activated crystal formations expanded into complex geometric patterns. Chief Mitchell's sensors tracked the growth of a massive crystalline computer core. Neural interface efficiency increasing, Dr. Richardson reported as Marcus's consciousness spread through the new systems. Power requirements dropping by 30%. Deep space sensors detected multiple hyperspace signatures near Neptune. Director Thales' science directory vessels emerged, their neutral markings clearly visible as they approached Earth's defense grid. Dr. Griffin analyzed the weapon's deteriorating containment field, his expression grim. The compound is breaking down into base components, these energy signatures. He paused, comparing readings. They match our children's neural patterns exactly. Evacuation protocols initiated, Morrison announced as non-essential personnel streamed from the facility. Major Foster's teams established defensive positions around the medical bay, their suits' crystal matrices humming with protective energy. Marcus's enhanced consciousness probed deeper into the weapons systems, discovering hidden command protocols. Lieutenant Morrison immediately transmitted the findings to the fleet. The Crystal Dawn sensors detected power fluctuations from Prince Chorus's flagship. Energy buildup in their core, Commander Tharix reported. Possible suicide trajectory. Admiral Griffin redirected his forces, positioning ships to intercept the Prince's vessel while maintaining the weapon containment field. Director Thales' fleet held position near Earth's orbital platforms, their intentions unclear as the crisis deepened. Power cell integration at 80%, Mitchell called out. Hayes, begin final calibration sequence. The facility's crystal matrix pulsed with newfound stability as the Pioneer's experimental cells channeled excess energy through carefully tuned circuits. Marcus's neural network expanded through the system, his consciousness touching each transformed component with precise control. Hayes shifted power distribution through the newly integrated circuits as the Pioneer's experimental cells pulsed in perfect synchronization with the facility's crystal matrix. Energy readouts stabilized across his displays, the careful calibration providing crucial support to both the weapon containment field and the children's life support systems. Power cell integration complete, Mitchell announced, monitoring the basement capacitors. Grid stability at 97%. The facility's foundation rumbled as new crystalline formations erupted through ancient support structures. Geometric patterns spread across walls and ceilings, reinforcing the building's architecture with living crystal that responded to the enhanced power flow. Dr. Richardson leaned forward at her medical station, tracking rapid changes in Marcus's neural patterns. The crystalline structures in his brain, they're achieving full integration with our systems. Her displays showed complex molecular data streaming through the neural network. He's decoding the weapon structure. These patterns, Dr. Griffin studied the weapon analysis. They match corrupted sections of the Vidian archives, the same records that documented humanity's modifications. He transmitted his findings to Admiral Griffin's command center. That's why it reacts so strongly to our crystalline signatures. Outside, Major Foster's CIU teams activated their crystal-enhanced suits' predictive arrays. Shadow Guard phase-shift signatures appeared exactly where their tactical systems anticipated. Precise interference patterns disrupted the stealth technology, forcing the attackers into visible space where Foster's teams eliminated them with practiced efficiency. Colonel Hunter's crystal core have arrived, Lieutenant Morrison reported as armored vehicles took position around the facility's power nodes. Their crystalline weapon systems hummed with contained energy, ready to counter Vidian technology. A priority transmission cut through the command frequency. Admiral Griffin, Director Thales' voice carried urgency. My vessels carry specialized containment equipment capable of neutralizing the Prince's weapon, but deployment requires lowering Earth's defensive shields. Admiral Griffin studied tactical displays showing Prince Chorus's flagship accelerating toward Earth. That suicide run would reach us the moment our shields drop. He activated the fleet-wide channel. All vessels, implement Operation Diamond Shield. Captain Ward, Commander Tharix form on my position. The EDS Horizon and Crystal Dawn moved into precise formation with Griffin's command ship. Their combined defensive systems creating overlapping fields of crystal-enhanced protection. Additional fleet vessels assembled in carefully calculated positions, establishing a multi-layered barrier between Earth and the Prince's approaching flagship. Admiral, Commander Voss transmitted from the Kuiper Belt, "We found weapons research facilities out here, signs of additional projects in development. This attack may be only the first energy spike." Commander Tharix cut in. "The Prince's power core is overloading. Impact yield calculations exceeding initial estimates." In the facility's monitoring station, Scott Lewis and Sentinel Vera accessed newly discovered database entries. "This building," Vera's fingers traced ancient symbols, "it's part of a galactic network. The Vidians designed these structures to activate when humanity reached this exact technological stage." "Containment field failing," Mitchell warned. 28 minutes until complete collapse. Dr. Griffin and Dr. Petrov rushed into the medical bay, carrying data tablets displaying complex frequency analyses. "The children's neural network," Petrov explained to Dr. Richardson. "If we focus it through the building's crystal matrix, we can force the weapon to break down into inert components." "The synchronization requirements, Doctor." Richardson studied their calculations, maintaining that level of neural coherence across all 9 children. She checked their vital signs. The strain on their developing networks would be immense. Chief Mitchell initiated emergency protocols, connecting the facility's power grid to Earth's secondary systems. Colonel Hayes diverted additional energy to the Pioneer's experimental cells, the specialized crystals pulsing faster as they absorbed the increased load. Marcus's enhanced consciousness spread through the facility's systems, touching each transformed component with increasing precision. The other children's pods resonated in harmony, their combined neural patterns generating specific frequencies that matched the weapon's molecular structure. Admiral Griffin faced an impossible tactical decision, as Director Thale's containment technology offered salvation at the cost of vulnerability. Prince Chorus's modified flagship drew closer, its power core building toward devastating detonation. The orbital defense grid hummed with energy as Earth's combined fleet prepared to face whatever came next. "Admiral." Commander Voss's transmission cut through the tactical noise. Multiple stasis pods detected in Chorus's Kuiper facility. They contain human children genetically modified, similar neural patterns to our subjects. Griffin's tactical display shifted, highlighting the conflicting priorities. Earth's defensive fleet would need to split, leaving gaps in their coverage to mount a rescue operation. Below the facility, Chief Mitchell's sensors lit up with new energy signatures. "Massive crystal formation detected beneath the foundation," he transmitted. "Sir, these readings, they match ancient Vidian power signatures. The basement floor trembled as crystalline structures emerged through centuries-old concrete." Hayes rushed to integrate the readings with their existing power grid. "It's responding to the children's neural patterns," he noted, fingers flying across control surfaces. "We can route it through the Pioneer's experimental cells." In orbit, Director Thale's vessels deployed specialized containment pods, their black surfaces absorbing light as they formed a secondary defensive shell around Earth. Captain Ward's tactical officer noted immediate interference patterns. "Shield harmonics disrupted," the officer reported, adjusting position to compensate. The EDS Horizon's movement created a brief gap in their coverage. Prince Chorus's flagship immediately altered course, its engines flaring as it accelerated toward the weakness. Dr. Richardson's medical monitors screamed warnings as 3 pods registered neural destabilization. Subjects 4, 7, and 9 experiencing severe feedback, she called out. James, initialize emergency stabilization protocols. Dr. Walker activated modified Vidian medical systems while Dr. Naira adjusted crystal resonance frequencies. The children's vital signs fluctuated wildly with each power surge from the facility's transformation. Contact below. Lieutenant Morrison's security teams moved to intercept Shadow Guard forces breaching through maintenance tunnels. The infiltrators carried sleek devices that emitted targeted disruption fields. They're targeting the power core, Major Foster transmitted. His CIU teams took defensive positions, their crystal-enhanced suits interfacing with the facility's architecture. Geometric barrier patterns spread across access points, sealing off critical systems. Scott Lewis studied ancient data streams with Sentinel Vera. These coordinates, he highlighted a series of locations, they're all research facilities. Similar designs spread across multiple systems. Chorus wasn't just experimenting on Earth, Vera confirmed. This was a galaxy-wide program. Admiral Kenna's fleet began broadcasting the evidence to neutral Vidian systems. Multiple diplomatic channels lit up with responses as the Prince's support structure crumbled. The flagship's weapon ports opened, launching a spread of modified torpedoes. Captain Drake's tactical systems identified their trajectories. They were targeting Earth's major power distribution nodes. Intrepid, moving to intercept, Drake transmitted. His vessel coordinated with the Crystal Dawn, establishing overlapping fields of defensive fire. Most of the torpedoes detonated harmlessly against their shields, though several penetrated to break up in the upper atmosphere. Marcus's enhanced consciousness touched the weapon's containment field, detecting familiar patterns in its molecular structure. Dr. Griffin analyzed the readings, comparing them to ancient medical archives. These base components, he highlighted specific molecular chains, they match Vidian healing technology. The weapon is a corrupted version of their medical systems. Deep space sensors detected new hyperspace signatures. Commander Jareth's Galactic Federation fleet emerged, their weapons already charged. Prince Chorus, Jareth's transmission carried across all frequencies. By order of the Federation Council, you are ordered to stand down immediately. The Prince's flagship responded by charging its main weapon arrays, energy building to critical levels as it oriented toward the Cultural Exchange Center. Colonel Hunter's Crystal Core transmitted new tactical data throughout Earth's defense network. The children's neural patterns generate natural interference fields, Hunter explained. That's why they were targeted. Their brains produce frequencies that disrupt phase-shift technology. Foster's CIU teams immediately adjusted their suit harmonics to match the children's neural patterns. Shadow Guard infiltrators flickered into visible space as their stealth systems failed, caught in a web of crystalline disruption fields. As Foster's teams neutralized the exposed Shadow Guard infiltrators, Admiral Griffin's tactical displays lit up with new sensor data. Prince Chorus's flagship engaged an advanced propulsion system, its hull radiating purple-tinged energy as it accelerated through the defensive screen. Unknown drive signature, Captain Ward transmitted. Standard intercept protocols failing. The EDS Horizon's weapons found their mark, crystal-enhanced beams striking the flagship's shields. Energy cascaded across the barrier in geometric patterns, yet the vessel maintained its trajectory toward the Cultural Exchange Center. Inside the facility, Marcus's consciousness expanded through the newly transformed systems. Ancient circuits awakened beneath his neural touch, connecting to the facility's power core in precisely aligned patterns. The other 8 children's pods pulsed in harmony, their combined neural frequencies generating stabilizing waves that penetrated the weapon's containment field. Molecular breakdown detected, Dr. Griffin announced, studying the weapon structure. The children's neural pattern is forcing a controlled decomposition of harmful elements. Dr. Richardson's medical monitors flashed urgent warnings, neural stress reaching critical levels in pods 4 through 7. She adjusted life support parameters, fingers dancing across control surfaces. Dr. Walker, we need those modified pod settings now. James Walker transmitted new calibration data from his research station. The medical pods shifted frequency, their crystal matrices adapting to better shield the children's developing neural networks. Vital signs stabilized across Dr. Richardson's displays. Multiple contacts. Lieutenant Morrison called out as security sensors detected new threats. Modified combat drones burst through maintenance access points, their weapons emitting targeted disruption fields that interfered with the facility's crystalline architecture. Major Foster's voice carried across the tactical network. CIU teams, implement pattern Delta. Use the building's transformed sections for cover. His crystal integration units took defensive positions, their enhanced suits interfacing directly with the facility's structure. Crystalline barriers formed and shifted, creating moving cover as they engaged the Shadow Guard drones. Colonel Hunter's vehicles established a mobile perimeter, their weapon systems synchronized with the facility's defense grid. In orbit, Commander Tharix brought the Crystal Dawn into attack position. The vessel's hull rippled with energy as it engaged its advanced combat systems. Space distorted between the two ships as crystal-based weapons discharged, creating complex interference patterns that lit up Earth's defensive screens. Federation vessels moving to support positions, Commander Jareth transmitted. His fleet split into precise formations, establishing overlapping fields of fire around the Cultural Exchange Center. Deep in the Kuiper Belt, Captain Drake led his Special Forces team through the Shadow Guard facility. They encountered heavy resistance as they fought their way toward the detected stasis pods. Multiple subjects confirmed, Drake transmitted to Commander Voss. Medical support needed. These children show signs of forced crystalline modification. Scott Lewis accessed another layer of ancient security systems, his fingers moving rapidly across control surfaces. Sentinel Vera, look at these power readings. The facility's hidden weapon emplacements activated crystal-based defense turrets emerging from walls and ceilings. The automated systems targeted Shadow Guard drones with precision, their energy signatures perfectly matched to Marcus's neural pattern. Similar activations detected worldwide, Vera confirmed, monitoring global data streams. All cultural exchange centers are coming online. Admiral Griffin received priority transmissions from Andromeda Alliance monitoring stations. The data showed critical energy buildups in the Prince's flagship, far exceeding normal combat parameters. Crystal resonance pulse detected, Commander Tharix warned. If that weapon detonates, the crystalline transformation wave will affect every population center on Earth. Dr. Alexandra Griffin studied the facility's power readings, comparing them to ancient Vidian medical records. These energy patterns they match advanced healing protocols. The children's neural network could redirect that pulse, but maintaining synchronization at those power levels. The facility's ancient core pulsed with increasing intensity. Marcus's enhanced consciousness touched each system, feeling the connections between transformed components. The other children's neural patterns aligned with his, their combined frequencies resonating through the crystal architecture as Prince Chorus's flagship began its final approach. The crystalline resonance from its weapons array sent ripples through spacetime, distorting the very fabric of reality around the vessel. Crystal resonance wavelength matching detected, Commander Tharix transmitted. The Prince's weapon, it's attuning to our defense grid. Admiral Griffin's tactical display highlighted multiple orbital trajectories as Commander Jareth's Federation vessels moved into position. The EDS Horizon accelerated through the formation gaps, its modified engines pushing to maximum thrust as Captain Ward targeted the flagship's propulsion systems. Inside the Cultural Exchange Center's medical bay, Marcus's consciousness expanded through ancient circuitry. Encrypted Vidian data streams unfolded before him like digital origami, revealing layer upon layer of dormant medical protocols. These systems, Dr. Richardson called out, studying the activation sequence. They're designed to work with human neural patterns. Her fingers danced across control surfaces as she integrated the new protocols into their medical pods. Colonel Hayes rushed between power distribution nodes, redirecting energy flow through modified Pioneer cells. Mitchell, we need more power to medical, rerouting from secondary systems. The facility's ancient core hummed with increasing intensity as Chief Mitchell balanced the power loads. Crystal matrices throughout the structure pulsed in harmony with the children's neural frequencies. In the Kuiper Belt facility, Captain Drake's team secured the final research chamber. Medical priority alert, he transmitted. 4 to 3 subjects located, all showing signs of forced modification. Dr. Alina Novik materialized on the emergency transport pad, her medical kit already in hand. She moved quickly between the stasis pods, scanner whirring. Early-stage crystalline growth detected in the cerebral cortex. We can still reverse this. The facility's lower levels erupted in weapons fire as Shadow Guard forces breached containment. Lieutenant Morrison's security teams took defensive positions behind crystalline barriers. Pattern analysis complete, Morrison transmitted. Foster, feeding you their phase shift frequencies now. Major Foster's CIU teams moved in precise formations, their crystal-enhanced suits generating interference fields. Shadow Guard troops flickered into visibility as their stealth systems failed, caught in pre-planned kill zones. In orbit, Director Thale's containment pods generated expanding fields of dark energy. The resonance patterns interacted with Earth's defense grid, creating cascading waves of quantum interference. Power fluctuations in medical, Dr. Richardson called out. Neural synchronization destabilizing. Chief Mitchell's hands flew across engineering controls. Emergency shielding online, redirecting power from non-essential systems. New hyperspace signatures flared against the stellar background. Commander Varix's Praetorian division emerged in perfect formation, their crystal-hulled vessels immediately moving to support positions. Admiral Griffin, Varix transmitted. Praetorian division reporting. Our weapon systems are calibrated for crystal containment. Scott Lewis accessed the facility's deepest security protocols, revealing previously hidden defense platforms. Ancient weapon systems activated, their crystalline matrices interfacing seamlessly with Earth's military satellites. Colonel Hunter, Lewis transmitted. You have weapons control. These platforms are designed for human interface. Marcus's enhanced consciousness touched Prince Chorus's weapon signature, analyzing its molecular structure. The patterns matched his own neural configuration perfectly. Dr. Griffin, Marcus projected through the facility's communications grid. The weapon, it's using the same crystalline base as our neural modifications. Dr. Griffin accessed the ancient medical archives. We can reprogram it at the molecular level. The facility's systems are designed for exactly this kind of manipulation. Deep space sensors lit up with multiple alerts. Energy signatures activated across the solar system, automated weapons platforms hidden in asteroid bases and lunar installations. Multiple threats detected, Admiral Griffin announced. Earth Defense Fleet, implement dispersal pattern Delta. Maintain priority coverage on the Cultural Exchange Center. The facility's power grid strained under increasing demands. Colonel Hayes integrated additional Pioneer cells while Mitchell balanced critical systems. Cities across Earth dimmed as power redirected to military installations. Through it all, Marcus maintained his connection to the ancient systems. His consciousness touched each transformed circuit, each crystalline node, guiding the facility's evolution as Prince Chorus's flagship entered final attack range. Energy spike. Captain Ward transmitted. Main weapon charging, all ships prepare for impact. The orbital battle reached critical intensity as Earth's combined fleet moved to intercept crystal-based weapons lighting up the night sky, while Commander Varix's Praetorian vessels deployed their advanced containment fields. The fate of two civilizations balanced on the edge of a crystalline blade. Marcus's enhanced consciousness detected dangerous fluctuations in Prince Chorus's weapon platform. The energy patterns spiraled toward catastrophic failure, sending waves of quantum interference through the facility's crystal matrix. Cascade imminent, Marcus projected through the communication grid. His neural network automatically generated stabilizing frequencies that rippled through the ancient medical systems. Dr. Richardson's displays lit up with new data streams. These readings. She studied the wavelength patterns emerging from Marcus's pod. His neural signature is acting as a natural dampening field. The medical pod's crystal matrices pulsed in harmony as the counteractive frequencies strengthened. Dr. Richardson adjusted life support parameters, enhancing the stabilization effect. Admiral Griffin, Captain Drake's voice cut through the tactical network. Priority intel from Kuiper Belt facility. The rescued children, their neural structures match specific frequencies in Chorus's weapon design. Dr. Novik's medical scans appeared on the command display. The prince used these children to calibrate his weapon. The process gave them natural immunity to its effects. Admiral Griffin transmitted rapid orders. Emergency Medical Unit 7, deploy immediately. Dr. Foster, begin developing protection protocols based on Dr. Novik's data. Space distorted above the facility as Prince Chorus's flagship fired its crystal resonance beam. The concentrated energy pierced toward Earth's defense screen. Formation pattern echo, Commander Jareth transmitted. Federation vessels moved with precision, establishing overlapping shield geometries. Captain Ward brought the EDS horizon into position, completing the defensive screen. The resonance beam struck their combined shields. Energy cascaded across multiple frequency bands, dispersing harmlessly into space. Shield analysis confirms it, Captain Ward transmitted. Their weapons lose cohesion against varied frequencies. Inside the facility, crystal disruptors detonated on the middle levels. Power conduits flickered as Shadow Guard forces advanced through the breach points. Critical power fluctuations, Chief Mitchell reported. Life support systems affected. Major Foster's voice carried across the tactical net. CIU teams, implement Protocol Diamond. His crystal integration units generated localized matrices, their prototype suits interfacing directly with the facility's architecture. Stabilized power resumed flowing through the affected sections. Colonel Hayes connected the final Pioneer cell. Ancient circuits hummed as the power core integrated the new energy source. Chief Mitchell's monitors detected resonance patterns matching prehistoric Vidian healing frequencies. Power signature recognized, the facility's systems announced. Activating dormant crystal seed nodes. Scott Lewis tracked the spreading activation through security feeds. Similar nodes coming online at cultural exchange centers worldwide. Multiple orbital alerts flashed across Admiral Griffin's tactical display. Commander Varix's sensors detected new energy signatures from the Prince's flagship. Crystal resonance bomb detected, Varix transmitted. Planetary extinction threat. Admiral Kenna's fleet moved into containment formation, while Director Thale's vessels generated precise interference patterns. The bomb's activation sequence faltered against their combined efforts. Dr. Griffin accessed ancient Vidian genetic archives, comparing them to Marcus's neural scans. These crystalline structures they're part of humanity's designed evolution, natural defenses against crystal-based weapons. Mars' orbital sensors detected multiple launches from hidden Shadow Guard bases. The phase-shifted vessels accelerated toward Earth's defense grid. Praetorian Division, Captain Ward transmitted, moving to intercept coordinates. His vessel formed up with Commander Varix's crystal-hulled ships, their combined weapons creating interlocking fields of fire. Marcus's consciousness touched the facility's deepest systems, feeling the resonance of ancient technologies awakening across Earth. Through the crystal matrix, he sensed Prince Chorus's weapon platform continuing to destabilize despite his efforts to contain it. The next few moments would determine if their growing understanding of humanity's crystalline potential would be enough to prevent catastrophe. Marcus's neural frequency pulsed outward through the facility's systems, generating new stabilization patterns that rippled through the destabilizing weapon platform. His consciousness touched each crystal node, each transformed circuit, guiding the energy into controlled pathways. Neural resonance stabilizing, Dr. Richardson announced, monitoring the medical pod readings. The other children, their patterns are synchronizing with Marcus's template. The medical bay screens displayed cascading waves of crystalline frequencies as the children's neural networks aligned. Each pod's matrix pulsed with strengthening containment fields, reducing the strain on individual subjects. Admiral Griffin's tactical display lit up with new sensor data. Operation Crystal Shield is now active. All fleet elements confirm targeting solutions. Earth's orbital platforms generated precise interference patterns, their crystal-enhanced weapons creating a web of defensive energy. Shadow Guard vessels from Mars flickered into normal space as their phase-shift systems failed, caught in pre-planned firing solutions. Multiple targets acquired, Captain Ward transmitted from the EDS horizon, detecting power fluctuations in the Prince's flagship. Their crystal resonance bomb is destabilizing. Commander Jareth's Federation vessels moved with practiced precision, forming attack patterns that exploited the flagship's vulnerabilities. Admiral Kenna's fleet provided covering fire as they closed into optimal range. Inside the facility, Lieutenant Morrison's security teams braced behind crystal barriers as Shadow Guard siege engines targeted their positions. Energy beams lanced through reinforced walls, threatening to breach their defensive line. CIU teams, engage direct interface, Major Foster ordered. His crystal integration units connected with the building's transformed architecture, their prototype suits glowing with redirected power. Ancient weapon emplacements activated, their energy flowing through the suits to create mobile defense points. Crystal-enhanced weapons fire erupted from multiple positions, forcing the Shadow Guard forces back. The siege engine's energy signatures fluctuated as Earth's defensive systems countered their attack frequencies. Emergency Medical Unit 7 has arrived, Dr. Foster transmitted, beginning implementation of protection protocols based on Kuiper belt data. Chief Medical Officer Wright moved between treatment stations, applying refined crystal therapies derived from Prince Chorus's research. These patterns they're creating natural immunity to the weapon's effects. Colonel Hunter coordinated with Commander Varix's Praetorian vessels, their combined forces executing Protocol Shattered Star. Crystal-enhanced weapons targeted automated platforms throughout the solar system, systematically eliminating the Prince's defensive network. Solar activity detected, Scott Lewis reported, monitoring the facility's sensor feeds. Crystal seed nodes activating on Mars and Venus. Ancient Vidian defense grid coming online. The expanding network generated interference patterns that disrupted Shadow Guard communications. Prince Chorus's remaining forces struggled to maintain formation as their control systems faced increasing disruption. Chief Mitchell's engineering displays flashed with warning indicators. Power surge building in the crystal matrix. Containment systems at maximum capacity. Colonel Hayes redirected energy flow through the Pioneer cells, balancing the load between critical systems. Maintaining priority power to medical and weapon containment. Auxiliary systems on emergency protocols. Director Thale's containment pod network achieved full coverage, generating precise frequencies that targeted the Prince's crystal resonance bomb. The weapon's energy signature became increasingly erratic as the interference patterns took effect. New energy signatures detected, Dr. Griffin transmitted. Cultural exchange centers worldwide are generating matching frequencies. The resonance patterns there perfectly synchronized with Marcus's neural template. Marcus felt the combined power of Earth's awakening crystal network flow through his consciousness. Each activated node strengthened their defensive capabilities while revealing new layers of ancient Vidian technology. The facility's crystal matrix pulsed with increasing intensity as humanity's crystalline potential reached critical mass. Through the ancient systems, Marcus detected Prince Chorus's flagship preparing for a final tactical decision. The next few moments would reveal whether the Prince would risk everything on a premature detonation or accept the inevitable loss of his weapon platform. Ancient Vidian circuits hummed beneath the surface of every major population center, waiting to be fully awakened by humanity's expanding crystal mastery. The orbital battle entered its decisive phase as Earth's combined forces pressed their advantage, demonstrating unprecedented control over crystal-based combat systems. Warning indicators flashed across the EDS Horizon's tactical displays as Prince Chorus's flagship initiated emergency power core reconfiguration protocols. The vessel's crystal resonance chambers pulsed with unstable energy patterns. Multiple vulnerabilities detected, Captain Ward transmitted, his sensor analysis highlighting weakened sections in the flagship's defense grid. Shield harmonics destabilizing at coordinates Alpha 7 through Delta 3. Admiral Griffin's tactical network lit up with synchronized targeting data. Federation vessels, execute precision strike pattern Helios, target those resonance chambers while their shields are fluctuating. Commander Jareth's ships accelerated into attack formation, their weapons systems locked onto the flagship's exposed sectors. Crystal-enhanced beams lanced through space, striking the Prince's vessel at calculated vectors. Inside the Cultural Exchange Center, the Pioneer cells hummed at peak efficiency. Colonel Hayes monitored power distribution readouts as excess energy flooded the facility's systems. Crystal matrix output exceeding projected parameters, Chief Mitchell reported, adjusting stabilization fields. Marcus's neural network is automatically redirecting the surge. The weapon containment field strengthened visibly, its protective barrier taking on a deeper luminescence. Dr. Richardson checked life support readings for the rescued children. Neural synchronization holding steady at reduced power consumption, she confirmed. We can maintain optimal patterns while diverting additional energy to critical systems. In the medical bay, Dr. Alina Novik's instruments detected a breakthrough pattern in the crystal modifications affecting the Kuiper Belt children. Her screens displayed complex frequency matches between their neural signatures and Marcus's template. Dr. Foster, she transmitted to Emergency Medical Unit 7, implementing new treatment protocol, sending modified frequency patterns now. The medical pods adjusted their healing matrices as Dr. Foster's team began treating the most severely affected children. Their vital signs stabilized as the reversed crystal modifications took effect. Scott Lewis tracked multiple activation signals spreading through the asteroid belt. Ancient Vidian satellites powered up, their dormant systems responding to commands from the Cultural Exchange Center. Sentinel Vera, confirming shield platform activation in sectors 17 through 23, he reported. Defense grid strength increasing exponentially. The facility's security feeds captured intense combat as Shadow Guard forces deployed crystal disruption devices against the power distribution center. Major Foster's CIU teams held their positions, their suits interfacing directly with the building's architecture. Crystal Core, maintain mobile defense pattern, Colonel Hunter ordered. His prototype vehicles generated interference fields that prevented phase-shift breaches around the facility's perimeter. Director Thale's science vessels detected the first energy pulses from Venus. The activated crystal nodes produced expanding resonance fields that caught Prince Chorus's automated platforms in their interference patterns. Admiral Kenna, Thale transmitted, these Venusian frequencies are disrupting their targeting systems. Recommend immediate deployment to these coordinates. Commander Varix's sensors identified specific harmonics in Earth's defense grid that destabilized Shadow Guard phase-shift systems. Captain Ward, adjusting weapons to match these frequencies. Their strike teams are losing cohesion. The Prince's flagship shuddered as emergency protocols engaged. Deep space monitors detected power spikes indicating imminent crystal bomb ejection. All vessels prepare for emergency containment, Admiral Griffin ordered. Commander Tharex, move the Crystal Dawn into primary intercept position. Marcus's consciousness registered dangerous energy builds in the facility's ancient core. The power surge revealed new defensive systems, but maintaining control stretched the children's neural networks to their limits. Implementing emergency stabilization protocols, Chief Mitchell announced as crystal matrices throughout the building pulsed with hardly restrained power. We need to regulate this output before it overwhelms our modified containment fields. The battle for Earth's survival entered a new phase as both sides raced to adapt to rapidly changing tactical conditions. Through the facility's systems, Marcus sensed the Prince's high-stakes endeavor about to unfold. Marcus's neural patterns shifted as he detected subtle changes in the weapon's quantum structure. Through the facility's ancient medical interfaces, his enhanced consciousness generated precise frequencies that began altering the molecular composition of Prince Chorus's device. Energy signature changing, Dr. Richardson announced, studying the containment field readings. The weapon's harmful components are transforming into crystalline structures consistent with Vidian medical technology. Chief Mitchell adjusted power distribution protocols, routing additional energy to support the transformation process. Maintaining stable power flow to containment systems, Pioneer cells operating at 9 to 7% efficiency. The facility shuddered as Shadow Guard forces launched their final assault. Phase-shifted troops materialized at multiple entry points, their weapons targeting critical systems. Lieutenant Morrison's security teams responded instantly, crystal-enhanced barriers deflecting the initial barrage. CIU teams established defensive coverage around power distribution nodes, Major Foster transmitted. His crystal integration units moved with practiced efficiency, their prototype suits interfacing directly with the building's architecture. A massive energy surge lit up the orbital defense grid as General Viktor Kravenov's strategic reserve fleet emerged from hyperspace. The experimental vessels, their hybrid crystal technology gleaming against the darkness of space, moved into predetermined attack positions. Earth Defense Command, this is General Kravenov, assuming tactical control of orbital defense grid, implementing Combat Protocol 7. Admiral Griffin's tactical display updated as the General's vessels engaged Prince Chorus's forces. The hybrid warships demonstrated unprecedented effectiveness against Shadow Guard phase-shift technology, their weapons perfectly tuned to exploit previously hidden vulnerabilities. Inside the facility, Colonel Hayes monitored a cascading reaction spreading through the modified containment systems. Power core transformation detected. Pioneer cells integrating with ancient architecture. The building's crystal matrix pulsed with new energy as protective fields extended outward, encompassing nearby civilian areas. Chief Mitchell's sensors tracked the expanding coverage. Detection, multiple frequency patterns consistent with natural crystal weapon resistance. Dr. Marcus Griffin transmitted urgent data to the medical bay. Dr. Foster, analyzing weapon decomposition patterns. These components match theoretical Vidian healing matrices. Confirmed, Dr. Foster responded as his emergency medical unit processed the information, establishing treatment protocols based on new data, beginning civilian medical center preparation. Commander Varix's sensors detected dangerous fluctuations from the Prince's flagship. Admiral Kenna, crystal bomb showing quantum-level instability. Recommend immediate containment deployment. Earth's defense fleet executed precise maneuvers, establishing layered containment positions around the threatening vessel. Director Thales' containment pods moved into optimal firing solutions, their systems calibrated for emergency neutralization. Scott Lewis accessed the facility's deepest security protocols, revealing previously hidden defensive capabilities. Ancient mountain platforms detected, crystal-based weapon systems coming online across all major ranges. Colonel Hunter's crystal core vehicles synchronized with the activated platforms, demonstrating unprecedented tactical control. All units confirmed successful interface. Implementing coordinated defense pattern. Dr. Alina Novik's medical pods displayed encouraging results as the first group of treated children showed signs of recovery. Neural patterns stabilizing. Marcus's frequency template is successfully revering the crystal modifications. Deep space monitors lit up with multiple warnings. Admiral Griffin's tactical network highlighted approaching Shadow Guard reinforcements. All units prepare for Operation Crystal Dawn. Coordinate with Vidian defense systems. The cultural exchange centers generated expanding interference fields, disrupting the incoming vessel's navigation systems. Ships dropped out of hyperspace in vulnerable positions, their crews struggling to maintain control as Earth's combined forces engaged them. Marcus directed increasingly complex frequency patterns through the facility's systems, guiding the weapon's transformation while maintaining neural synchronization with the affected children. Power demands escalated as the process accelerated. Implementing emergency power distribution protocols, Colonel Hayes announced, integrating additional pioneer cells. Maintaining critical system stability at maximum output. Chief Mitchell's displays tracked the intricate balance of power flowing through the enhanced crystal matrix. The technical team worked with practiced precision, adjusting distribution patterns to support both the weapon's neutralization and the children's ongoing treatment. Through the facility's ancient systems, Marcus sensed the transformation reaching a critical phase. The weapon's structure continued to shift at the molecular level as Earth's forces pressed their tactical advantage in orbit. Prince Chorus's flagship remained a dangerous variable, its unstable crystal bomb threatening to destabilize despite the layered containment measures. Marcus's enhanced consciousness pulsed through the facility's systems, directing precise frequencies that accelerated the weapon's transformation. Crystalline structures sprouted within the containment field, their molecular patterns shifting into familiar configurations. These formations, Dr. Richardson transmitted, her screens displaying detailed analyses. They match ancient Vidian healing matrices. The weapon isn't just being neutralized, it's transforming into medical technology. The Prince's flagship shuddered violently as Admiral Griffin's fleet executed their trap maneuver. Commander Varix's Praetorian vessels moved with surgical precision, their weapons targeting specific nodes in the enemy's defense grid. Earth's crystal platforms created an impenetrable barrier on the opposite vector. Emergency protocols detected, Captain Ward announced. The flagship's power core is destabilizing. Director Thale's containment pods accelerated into predetermined positions, generating overlapping interference fields. Establishing blast radius containment, all vessels maintain formation integrity. Inside the Cultural Exchange Center, ancient systems merged with Colonel Hayes's modifications. Crystalline growth spread through the walls and support structures, creating latticed patterns that pulsed with protective energy. Chief Mitchell studied his readings with intense focus. Power requirements dropping across all medical systems. These new formations are amplifying the children's neural synchronization patterns. A massive explosion rocked the facility's lower levels. Shadow Guard troops phased through multiple entry points, their weapons targeting power distribution nodes. Major Foster's CIU teams responded instantly. Team 2, reinforce Junction 7, Foster transmitted. Teams 3 and 4 establish crossfire positions using the new crystal formations. Lieutenant Morrison's security feeds tracked enemy movements through the transformed architecture. They're attempting to flank through the eastern corridor. Crystal Core units moving to intercept. The orbital battle intensified as new signatures appeared on tactical displays. Rear Admiral Blackwood's Crystal Response Division emerged from their faster-than-light corridor, their prototype weapons already tracking Shadow Guard vessels. Second Fleet engaging, Blackwood transmitted. Luna Station upgrades performing beyond specifications. Commander Voss's Strike Force transmitted urgent data from the Kuiper Belt facility. Multiple stasis pods located. We have modified children from at least 7 different species, requesting immediate medical support. Dr. Novik's fingers flew across her medical interface. Implementing treatment protocols based on successful human cases, routing additional power to stasis pod stabilization. Scott Lewis's screens lit up as the final crystal seed nodes activated. Energy patterns spread through the solar system, linking Earth's defenses with previously dormant Vidian outposts. Full spectrum grid activation achieved, Sentinel Vera confirmed. Detecting active observation posts throughout Jovian and Saturnian orbital paths. The facility's power core hummed at a new frequency as Pioneer cells achieved perfect resonance. Colonel Hayes adjusted distribution protocols, routing excess energy through the enhanced crystal matrix. Defensive capabilities increasing, Chief Mitchell reported. New barrier formations extending to peripheral structures. Prince Chorus's flagship suddenly surged forward, its deteriorating core releasing a concentrated energy burst. The attack slammed against Earth's defensive screen as General Kravnov deployed his interceptor squadron. Crystal response units, engage primary targets, Kravnov ordered. The experimental vessels accelerated through complex attack patterns, their enhanced weapons disrupting the flagship's desperate assault. Dr. Marcus Griffin's analysis programs detected a significant pattern in the facility's emissions. These frequencies, they're not just protective. They're part of our designed evolution. Natural crystal weapon resistance encoded at a cellular level. Admiral Griffin's tactical network updated with the new data. All vessels modify shield harmonics to match these protective frequencies. Coordinate with defense platforms for maximum coverage. The transformed weapon continued to emit healing signatures as Marcus guided its final reconstruction. Through the facility's ancient interfaces, he sensed the precision required to complete this delicate process while maintaining the children's neural stability. Power flowed through optimized pathways as Earth's combined forces pressed their advantage against the prince's failing defenses. Inside the containment field, Marcus guided the final transformation sequence as crystalline matrices bloomed in intricate patterns. Dr. Richardson's screens displayed cascading changes in molecular structure as the weapon's harmful components reorganized into healing configurations. Neural synchronization detected, Dr. Richardson transmitted, her instruments tracking the other 8 children's brainwave patterns. Their templates are aligning with Marcus's frequency. The strain on the young patients visibly decreased as their combined neural networks strengthened the transformation process. Chief Mitchell's power readings reflected the improved efficiency, showing reduced demand on the facility's systems. In orbit, Admiral Griffin's tactical display highlighted Prince Chorus's trapped flagship. The vessel hung motionless between Earth's crystal platforms and the Praetorian warships, venting streams of plasma into space. Critical containment alert, Director Thale announced. Crystal bomb quantum structure displaying signs of collapse, initiating emergency stabilization protocols. The containment pods adjusted their interference fields, generating precise frequency patterns to counter the device's deteriorating matrix. Captain Ward's sensors tracked the delicate operation as the pods worked to prevent catastrophic detonation. A new fleet signature appeared on tactical displays. 3rd Fleet ACT Division reporting, Admiral Sarah Voss transmitted. Europa base prototype, weapons ready for deployment. Her vessels moved into predetermined firing positions, their crystal matrix cannons targeting the remaining Shadow Guard ships. The prototype weapons fired in synchronized bursts, creating interference patterns that disrupted enemy phase-shift capabilities. Chief Mitchell's interface lit up as the final Pioneer cells achieved full integration. Power distribution network enhancement complete, routing excess energy through crystal architecture. The facility's walls pulsed with amplified energy as Colonel Hayes's modified protocols channeled power through the building's transformed structure. Medical bay life support systems showed immediate improvement, their efficiency increasing as the enhanced power flow stabilized critical systems. Security alert, Major Foster transmitted. CIU sensors detecting phase signatures in maintenance level 3. Lieutenant Morrison's teams moved swiftly through the facility's lower sections, their crystal-enhanced detection systems tracking the infiltrators' movements. Colonel Hunter positioned crystal core vehicles at key junctions, their advanced systems generating barriers across potential breach points. New signal detected, Commander Voss reported from the Kuiper Belt facility. Hidden transmission array located, downloading coordinate data. Admiral Kenna's tactical network updated with the new information. Captain Drake, deploy Special Forces teams to these locations. Secure any evidence before Shadow Guard cleanup crews arrive. Scott Lewis and Sentinel Vera worked in perfect synchronization as their systems interfaced with newly activated Martian platforms. The ancient Vidian installations generated expanding protective fields, creating a defensive network around Earth's colonial outposts. Dr. Marcus Thompson's medical transports landed at designated sites in major population centers. His teams deployed mobile treatment units, their systems calibrated to harness the transformed weapon's beneficial frequencies. Treatment protocols initialized, Thompson transmitted, beginning neural pathway analysis for crystal interaction patterns. General Kravinoff's tactical display highlighted multiple Shadow Guard vessels attempting to break through the outer defense perimeter. Federation vessels confirmed in position, Commander Jareth responded, establishing hyperspace denial field. The Strategic Reserve Fleet executed precise maneuvers, their enhanced weapons preventing the enemy ships from reaching their emergency jump coordinates. Research data stolen from Prince Chorus's weapons program remained secured as Earth's forces maintained their blockade. Deep space monitors detected new energy signatures radiating from distant Kuiper Belt objects. Admiral Griffin's command interface displayed the locations of additional hidden Vidian installations activating in response to Earth's Crystal Seed network. Deploying security teams to Orbital Platform Beta 7, Scott Lewis announced as another ancient facility came online. The transformed weapon continued its reconstruction inside the containment field, its healing frequencies resonating with the expanding defensive grid as Earth's forces secured their strategic advantage across the solar system. Marcus's neural network pulsed through the facility's systems, achieving perfect synchronization with the transformed crystal architecture. The Cultural Exchange Center's matrix responded instantly, emitting precise frequencies that accelerated the weapon's molecular conversion process. Within the containment field, harmful compounds reorganized into beneficial crystalline structures. Remarkable, Dr. Richardson transmitted, studying the cascading data on her medical screens. The converted material is promoting controlled crystal growth in neural tissue. All vital signs remain stable. Through the facility's enhanced sensors, Marcus directed the transformation with unprecedented precision. Each molecular shift strengthened the connection between the 9 children's neural networks, their combined consciousness flowing through the building's crystalline pathways. A violent tremor shook the orbital defense platforms. Prince Chorus's flagship, caught in the tactical trap, executed a desperate maneuver. The vessel's failing core sent waves of destabilizing energy through space. Crystal bomb containment breach detected, Director Thale announced. His containment pods moved with fluid grace, generating overlapping stasis fields around the flagship. Emergency protocols engaged. Quantum structure stabilization at 60%. Fleet Admiral Marcus Donovan's vessels emerged from their hidden deployment vectors, their third-generation crystal integration systems immediately synchronizing with Earth's defense grid. The First Fleet's Crystal Warfare Division spread across the inner system, their advanced weapons tracking multiple targets simultaneously. Establishing tactical control matrix, Donovan transmitted. All vessels coordinate fire control through primary crystal nodes. Colonel Hayes's fingers danced across his interface as he implemented new power distribution protocols. The facility's ancient core hummed at a higher frequency, channeling excess energy through crystalline conduits that strengthened both defensive barriers and medical support systems. Power efficiency at optimal levels, Chief Mitchell reported. Medical Bay receiving enhanced support for neural synchronization procedures. The asteroid belt lit up with activation signatures as dormant Vidian platforms responded to commands from the Cultural Exchange Center. Advanced shield technology extended Earth's defensive perimeter, creating an interlocked barrier that reached Mars' orbit. Additional installations detected in sectors 7 through 12, Sentinel Vera announced, coordinating with Scott Lewis to map the expanding network. Calculating optimal power distribution patterns. Shadow Guard troops materialized inside the facility's power distribution center, their face-shifted weapons targeting critical junctions. Major Foster's CIU teams responded with precise crystal-enhanced combat techniques, their movements guided by Marcus's neural patterns. Team Alpha reinforced the Eastern Corridor, Lieutenant Morrison transmitted. Crystal Core units deploy barrier formations along emergency routes. In the Kuiper Belt facility, Dr. Alina Novik monitored the first successful reversal of crystal modifications in a rescued child. Neural patterns stabilizing, she transmitted. Implementing standardized treatment protocols for remaining patients. Captain Drake's Special Forces teams transmitted encrypted data bursts from Prince Chorus's hidden research stations. Multiple facilities located throughout the Uit cloud. Downloading weapon research files. Admiral Griffin's tactical display highlighted new energy signatures from the trapped flagship. Crystal bomb ejection sequence initiated. All units maintain containment positions. General Kravenov's Strategic Reserve Fleet executed precise intercept maneuvers, while Director Thale's pods adjusted their neutralization fields. Commander Varix's Praetorian vessels generated synchronized interference patterns, creating a layered mesh that contained the weapon's quantum instabilities. Dr. Marcus Griffin's analysis programs identified specific patterns within the transformed weapon's emissions. These frequencies match ancient Vedean healing matrices. Chief Medical Officer Wright, adjusting personnel protection protocols now. The cultural exchange center's crystal matrix merged seamlessly with Earth's planetary defense grid, extending Marcus's neural influence throughout the system. As the facility's capabilities increased, the 9 children's combined consciousness flowed through an expanding network of crystal nodes, strengthening humanity's control over the advanced technology. Through the ancient interfaces, Marcus guided the weapon's final transformation sequence while monitoring the orbital battle through multiple sensor feeds. His enhanced awareness tracked every aspect of the crisis, as Earth's forces secured their position across the solar system. Marcus's neural pathway interface pulsed with new data as crystalline formations within the containment field shifted into unexpected configurations. The transformed weapon compounds self-organized into intricate lattice patterns that matched ancient medical templates stored deep in the facility's database. These formations, Dr. Richardson transmitted, her fingers moving rapidly across diagnostic controls. They're generating stabilizing frequencies throughout the field, compound conversion rate increasing by 37%. A blinding flash erupted from Prince Chorus's flagship as its power core finally destabilized. The vessel's hull plates buckled and twisted, venting atmosphere into space. Director Thale's containment pods adjusted automatically, their stasis fields preventing the crystal resonance bomb from detonating. Recovery teams, proceed to designated breach points, Admiral Griffin ordered. Captain Winters, take point on weapon extraction. Captain Eric Winters' specialized containment unit moved into position, their crystal-enhanced suits protecting them from the failing ship's radiation. Their equipment interfaced seamlessly with the pod's stasis fields as they began the delicate extraction process. Inside the Cultural Exchange Center, Colonel Hayes watched power readings spike as the Pioneer cells achieved perfect resonance. Crystal matrices throughout the building pulsed with amplified energy, extending protective barriers over nearby residential zones. Emergency medical units deploying to affected sectors, Dr. Thomas Foster transmitted. Crystal frequency treatments showing 93% effectiveness in exposed populations. Chief Mitchell's monitoring systems tracked the facility's transformation in real time. Power distribution network now operating at unprecedented efficiency levels. Protective field coverage expanding beyond projected parameters. Commander Voss's encrypted transmission cut through tactical channels. Primary research facility located on Sedna. Shadow Guard attempting emergency data purge. Her strike force engaged the enemy defenders, while Dr. Alina Novik's medical team accessed the facility's databases. Downloading treatment protocols now, Novik reported. Cross-referencing with current patient data. Deep space sensors detected new signatures approaching from the outer system. Admiral Kenna's tactical display highlighted Supreme Commander Jareth's Federation vessels as they decelerated into the inner system. Federation containment specialists standing by, Jareth transmitted, requesting coordinates for weapon transport corridor. Major Foster's Crystal Integration Unit discovered the enhanced capabilities by accident when their suits synchronized with the building's transformed systems. Lieutenant Morrison watched in amazement as new shield harmonics automatically deflected a Shadow Guard infiltration team's phase-shifted assault. All security teams, implementing new defense protocols, Morrison transmitted. Crystal Matrix is providing real-time countermeasures against enemy phase technology. Scott Lewis and Sentinel Vera access deeper layers of the facility's ancient programming, revealing a network of hidden installations across Earth's surface. Emergency medical stations activating in major population centers, Vera announced. Colonel Hunter's teams are securing each location. Beyond Neptune's orbit, Admiral Griffin's sensors detected multiple Shadow Guard vessels attempting to reach extraction coordinates. Rear Admiral Blackwood's Crystal Response Division moved to cut off their escape, while Commander Tharix's Crystal Dawn generated precise interference patterns that disrupted their hyperspace calculations. Enemy vessels powering down weapons, Blackwood transmitted. 3 Shadow Guard commanders signaling surrender. The cultural exchange center's crystal architecture resonated with increased power as Marcus guided the 9 children's neural patterns into perfect synchronization. Their combined consciousness flowed through the facility's systems, strengthening Earth's expanding defense network while completing the weapons transformation into beneficial compounds. Dr. Richardson's medical sensors tracked the stabilizing energy matrix as it spread through the containment field. Final conversion sequence initiating, all neural patterns holding steady. Captain Winter's team transmitted from inside the failing flagship. Crystal resonance bomb secured, beginning transport to Federation containment vessel. The ancient Vidian systems pulsed with renewed energy as humanity's crystal technology achieved its full potential. Marcus's enhanced awareness extended through the growing network of activated platforms, monitoring the final stages of their unprecedented defensive deployment. The ancient Vidian systems surged with unprecedented energy as Marcus directed the final phase of the weapon's transformation. Within the containment field, the last harmful compounds reorganized into intricate crystalline lattices, their structure matching the healing matrices encoded in the facility's database. Transformation sequence complete, Dr. Richardson announced, her medical displays showing cascading patterns of beneficial frequencies. Initiating mass production protocols. These crystals will revolutionize our treatment capabilities. The other 8 children maintained their neural synchronization through the facility's enhanced pathways, their combined consciousness strengthening the transformation effect. Waves of stabilizing energy pulsed outward, creating protective fields that enveloped nearby residential sectors. Inside Prince Chorus's disintegrating flagship, Captain Winter's team worked with practiced precision. Their crystal-enhanced suits interfaced with Director Thale's containment pods, creating a stable extraction corridor. Structural integrity at critical levels, Winters transmitted. Beginning final extraction sequence. Commander Varix's Praetorian vessels maintained their defensive screen, generating interference patterns that contained the failing ship's radiation signature. The crystal resonance bomb lifted smoothly from its housing, suspended within multiple layers of stasis fields. Transfer corridor stable, Director Thale confirmed. EDS Horizon standing by for weapon reception. A flash of movement caught the tactical sensors as Colonel Drake's Crystal Response Force emerged from Luna orbit. Their interceptors, sleek shapes incorporating captured Shadow Guard technology, spread across the inner system in precise formation. Crystal Response Force assuming tactical control of Sectors 3 through 7, Drake transmitted. Admiral Kenna, you are clear to redeploy 2nd Fleet for evacuation coverage. Scott Lewis and Sentinel Vera worked in perfect synchronization, their fingers dancing across ancient control interfaces. Deep within Earth's crust, dormant crystal seeds activated in sequence, connecting with the asteroid belt's Vidian platforms. Shield grid integration at 97%, Vera reported. New installations detected in Saturn's orbital space. Chief Engineer Mitchell implemented modified power protocols, the facility's crystal matrix humming at peak efficiency. Excess energy flowed through optimized pathways, strengthening both defensive barriers and medical systems. Dr. Foster, medical support grid now operating at full capacity, Mitchell transmitted. Production facilities ready for your treatment protocols. Major Foster's CIU teams swept through the lower levels, their movements guided by Marcus's enhanced neural patterns. Shadow Guard infiltrators found their phase shift technology useless against the facility's adaptive defenses. Eastern sector secured, Lieutenant Morrison reported. Crystal Core deploying mobile barrier units to reinforce outer perimeter. Admiral Donovan's sensors detected new energy signatures near Pluto's orbit. Prince Chorus's personal guard squadron attempted to reach predetermined extraction coordinates, their advanced ships pushing their engines to maximum thrust. Multiple Shadow Guard vessels on intercept trajectory, Donovan transmitted. General Kravnov, Strategic Reserve Fleet is clear to engage. Commander Tharix's Crystal Dawn generated precise interference patterns, disrupting the enemy vessel's hyperspace calculations. The elite Shadow Guard ships found themselves trapped in normal space as Kravnov's forces closed in from multiple vectors. In the Kuiper Belt, Dr. Alina Novak adjusted treatment protocols based on data from the transformed weapon. The rescued children responded immediately to the modified frequencies, their neural patterns stabilizing under careful monitoring. Treatment effectiveness exceeding projected outcomes, Novak transmitted, implementing standardized procedures across all medical facilities. Captain Drake's Special Forces team transmitted new data bursts from captured research stations. Additional installations detected throughout the Uit cloud, requesting strike force deployment authorization. Deep space monitoring stations activated as more Vidian defense platforms emerged from dormancy. The ancient installations integrated smoothly with Earth's crystal seed network, extending human control deep into the outer system. Inside the Cultural Exchange Center, Marcus guided the facility's systems with enhanced precision. The neural synchronization between the 9 children created self-sustaining energy matrices that strengthened every aspect of Earth's growing crystal defense grid. Through the transformed architecture, their combined consciousness flowed with unprecedented clarity, establishing humanity's mastery over the advanced technology. The 9 children's consciousness flowed through the facility's transformed systems as Marcus guided the final phase of integration. Crystal matrices throughout the Cultural Exchange Center pulsed with steady blue light, their structure now permanently altered by the weapon's successful conversion. Neural pattern synchronization holding at optimal levels, Dr. Richardson transmitted, monitoring cascading data streams across her medical displays. Beginning mass production sequence. The facility's lower levels hummed as newly installed manufacturing systems activated. Pristine crystal formations grew within carefully calibrated chambers, replicating the beneficial compounds derived from Prince Chorus's neutralized weapon. Near Uranus, Admiral Griffin's tactical display lit up with multiple contact warnings. Shadow Guard vessels detected on approach vector, his tactical officer announced. 6 ships attempting to breach defensive perimeter. Colonel Drake's Crystal Response Force moved with practiced precision. Their interceptors targeting systems interfaced directly with activated Vidian platforms, generating predictive firing solutions that anticipated the enemy vessel's evasive maneuvers. Target lock confirmed, Drake transmitted, engaging with crystal-enhanced weapons. Concentrated beams of energy lanced through space, their frequencies precisely tuned to disrupt Shadow Guard shield harmonics. 2 enemy vessels powered down their systems immediately, their commanders transmitting surrender protocols. On Mars, General Kravnov's ground forces breached the final security doors of Prince Chorus's hidden facility. The massive installation stretched deep into Val's Marineris, its stasis chambers filled with test subjects from dozens of species. Dr. Novak, we need immediate medical response, Kravnov transmitted. Multiple critical cases detected. Emergency medical centers activated across Mars's colonial settlements. Dr. Novik's team implemented modified treatment protocols, using transformed crystal frequencies to reverse forced modifications in the rescued subject's neural tissue. Patient stability increasing, Novik reported. Crystal resonance therapy showing positive results across all species types. Scott Lewis and Sentinel Vera accessed deeper command protocols within Earth's growing defense network. Ancient Vidian platforms throughout the asteroid belt powered up in sequence, establishing direct neural links with the facility's control systems. Final shield grid nodes activating, Vera announced, detecting multiple observation posts in Kuiper Belt region. The EDS Horizon moved smoothly through Earth's orbital space, its precious cargo secured within multiple containment fields. Captain Ward coordinated with Director Thale's escort vessels, while Commander Varix's Praetorian ships maintained a precise defensive formation. Approaching Luna Transfer Corridor, Ward transmitted. Containment reading stable. Inside the Cultural Exchange Center, Major Foster's team swept through transformed corridors. Lieutenant Morrison activated new security protocols, crystal-based sensors extending an invisible web throughout the facility. Automated defense grid online, Morrison reported. Crystal core units deploying to designated positions. Near Saturn's rings, Admiral Donovan's sensors detected unusual energy signatures. Commander Tharix, investigating possible Vidian installation at coordinate 739. The Crystal Dawn scanning systems revealed massive structures hidden within the ice field, ancient shipyards filled with advanced vessel designs. Their control systems responded instantly to commands from Earth's defense network. Production facilities activating, Tharix transmitted, initiating preliminary manufacturing protocols. Chief Engineer Mitchell watched power readings stabilize as the Pioneer cells achieved perfect synchronization. Excess energy flowed through optimized pathways, strengthening both the facility's defensive screens and its medical support systems. All power distribution networks operating at peak efficiency, Mitchell reported. Dr. Foster, medical production facilities ready for full activation. Supreme Commander Jareth's Federation vessels emerged from hyperspace beyond Mars' orbit. Admiral Kenna coordinated their approach through Earth's defense grid, while Crystal Technology specialists prepared to transfer additional medical supplies. In the Cultural Exchange Center's main chamber, Marcus guided the facility's systems with enhanced precision. The other 8 children maintained their neural link, their bodies adapting to produce natural crystal formations that resonated with the transformed technology. Through their combined consciousness, Earth's crystal defense network expanded outward, securing humanity's position in the solar system. Through their expanded neural network, Marcus detected a critical missing element in the defense grid's architecture. His consciousness brushed against an inactive crystal node deep within the facility's core systems. "Dr. Richardson," he called out, his voice steady despite the complexity of the connection. "I've identified the final component." The facility contained specialized crystal seeds designed for human neural enhancement. Dr. Richardson's fingers flew across her medical console, analyzing the new data. These matrices are perfectly calibrated for controlled integration with human tissue. Beginning production sequence now. The medical bay hummed as crystalline structures emerged from carefully regulated growth chambers. Blue-white light pulsed through the newly formed matrices, each one precisely tuned to human neural frequencies. Near Saturn's rings, Admiral Griffin's patrol fleet detected a small vessel attempting to slip through the ice field's scattered debris. The ship's energy signature matched Prince Chorus's personal escape pod. "Target acquired," Griffin transmitted. All vessels maintain containment formation. The Prince's pod, its hull scarred from atmospheric entry, powered down its engines as Griffin's ship surrounded it. Commander Varix's Praetorian vessels moved into position, their crystal-enhanced weapons tracking the disabled craft. This is Commander Varix of the Earth Defense Force. Prince Chorus, you will submit to immediate custody. Inside the Cultural Exchange Center, Fleet Admiral Donovan accessed the Master Control Interface. Ancient Vidian platforms activated in sequence, their power signatures rippling outward from Mercury to the system's edge. Previously hidden installations emerged from Jupiter's moons, their defensive systems automatically linking with Earth's growing network. Platform activation complete, Donovan announced. Shield grid stability at optimal levels. Chief Engineer Mitchell monitored power flow as the Pioneer cells synchronized with the facility's crystal matrix. Enhanced containment fields channeled massive energy streams through optimized pathways, strengthening every system connected to the network. Power integration successful, Mitchell reported. Medical production facilities now operating at maximum capacity. Colonel Hunter's crystal core received their first neural augmentations in the facility's modified medical wing. The soldiers' enhanced nervous systems adapted quickly to the crystal matrices, allowing direct neural connections with captured Shadow Guard equipment. Interface testing positive, Major Foster transmitted as his crystal integration unit conducted field exercises, response times exceeding projected parameters. In the Kuiper Belt medical stations, Dr. Novak administered final treatments to the rescued test subjects. Their neural patterns stabilized under the influence of specialized crystal frequencies, erasing Prince Chorus's forced modifications. Last patient group showing full recovery, she reported. Treatment protocols standardized for all medical facilities. Captain Drake's teams transmitted detailed scans of captured Shadow Guard databases. Complete tactical archives secured. Beginning data transfer to Earth Defense Command. Scott Lewis and Sentinel Vera activated the Cultural Exchange Center's final defensive protocols. Crystal formations grew along transformed walls and corridors, their structure automatically adapting to counter known weapon frequencies. Defensive matrix online, Morrison announced as his security teams took position. Crystal core units confirm full perimeter coverage. At the Ural Mountain facilities, General Kravenov supervised the integration of crystal technology into Earth's military vessels. Director Thales' science teams carefully reverse-engineered captured Shadow Guard systems, installing enhanced capabilities throughout the strategic reserve fleet. First wave of ship modifications complete, Kravenov transmitted. Crew training programs initiating on schedule. Commander Tharix coordinated with orbital platforms aboard the Crystal Dawn, establishing layered detection grids throughout Earth's sphere of influence. Admiral Griffin's patrol vessels moved through designated sectors, their enhanced sensors extending the network's effective range. Defense grid optimization at 98%, Tharix reported. All critical areas under constant surveillance. Dr. Marcus Griffin's analysis team finalized safety protocols for crystal technology implementation across Earth's industrial sectors. Medical facilities received priority access to new treatment options, while defensive installations incorporated carefully regulated crystal systems. The Cultural Exchange Center's main chamber pulsed with steady blue light as Marcus guided the facility's transformed systems. Through the neural network, he sensed the growing connection between Earth's enhanced forces and their inherited Vidian technology. Captain Ward's transmission cut through the data stream. Prince Chorus secured aboard EDS Horizon, beginning transfer to Earth Detention Facility. Through the neural network, Marcus detected a surge of activity as Prince Chorus's transport pod docked with the detention center. His consciousness remained linked to both the facility's systems and the other 8 children, their combined neural patterns creating intricate resonance fields throughout the Cultural Exchange Center. Neural synchronization reaching peak stability, Dr. Richardson announced, monitoring the crystalline formations growing along the children's neural pathways. The template is perfect. Marcus opened his eyes, the chamber's blue-white light pulsing in harmony with their enhanced consciousness. He stood, moving with fluid grace as crystal matrices throughout his nervous system achieved optimal alignment. In the detention center, Prince Chorus stepped from his transport pod, escorted by Colonel Hayes's security detail. His eyes widened as Marcus approached, speaking in flawless ancient Vidian. "Your attempt to weaponize crystal resonance has failed," Marcus said, each syllable carrying precise harmonic undertones. "We have transformed it into something greater." Chorus's face shifted from contempt to shock as Marcus continued, demonstrating mastery of all 12 dialectics. The prince's shoulders slumped as the young human detailed exactly how Earth had improved upon Vidian crystal technology. Near Pluto, Admiral Griffin's tactical display showed the last Shadow Guard vessels powering down their systems. "All enemy forces confirm surrender," his tactical officer reported. "Defense grid activation proceeding on schedule. The cultural exchange centers activated in sequence, each facility generating protective fields that merged seamlessly with Earth's crystal network. Energy cascaded through the system, creating an adaptive planetary shield that responded instantly to potential threats." On Luna, Captain Ward supervised the final transfer of the neutralized crystal resonance bomb. Chief Engineer Mitchell's teams extracted beneficial compounds under carefully controlled conditions, their modified equipment isolating specific frequencies for medical applications. "Extraction complete," Mitchell transmitted. "Beginning synthesis of standardized treatment protocols." The Cultural Exchange Center's main chamber hummed with activity as Supreme Commander Jareth arrived with his Federation delegation. Marcus and the other children stood in a precise formation, their enhanced neural patterns generating a stable resonance field that filled the space. "Initiating long-range communication test," Scott Lewis announced from his control station. The children's consciousness expanded through the crystal matrix, creating instantaneous links with Federation vessels throughout known space. Jareth watched in amazement as real-time communications connected systems light-years apart. "Earth's mastery of crystal technology is confirmed," Jareth declared, activating formal recognition protocols. Colonel Hunter's crystal core moved through the facility's transformed corridors, their enhanced nervous systems interfacing directly with security systems. Lieutenant Morrison coordinated their movements from a central command post as the Pioneer cells achieved perfect power distribution. In the medical wing, Dr. Novick administered final treatments to the last group of recovered test subjects. Crystal resonance therapy erased all traces of forced modifications, restoring natural neural patterns. "Treatment success rate at 100%, she reported, reviewing detailed brain scans. Scott Lewis and Sentinel Vera activated the Crystal Seed Network's final nodes. Ancient Vidian installations emerged from hiding throughout the solar system, their control systems responding instantly to human commands. Admiral Donovan's first fleet moved into strategic positions, crystal-enhanced vessels establishing permanent defense stations at key points. New installations powered up, combining Earth and Vidian technology under strict safety protocols. The Cultural Exchange Center's crystal matrix pulsed with steady light as Marcus addressed the Federation representatives in ancient Vidian. 9 young minds worked in perfect harmony, their enhanced consciousness guiding humanity's transformation into guardians of crystal technology. Through their expanded neural network, Marcus detected new crystal formations beginning to grow within the facility's deepest chambers. These structures resonated with frequencies never before recorded in human or Vidian databases, suggesting capabilities beyond anything yet discovered.